worlds ablaze, moments that steal the mundane's haze. No fear, no hold in this maze. Reach the peak of these wild days. It lives, Friday night lives. You die, but Friday night lives. Hosted by Deadbeat Radio, Stuntman Mark and Rambo Rap.
Well, welcome back, Bulls. I guess I should welcome my damn self back because I wasn't on here last week. Son of a bitch. That's what I was talking about before this. Fucking like, if there's a windstorm, if somebody pisses in the creek, if somebody falls down too hard, the internet will go out in Eastern Kentucky. And that is what happened. But I'm kind of like happy that I did not have to be a part of like all of the death news that took place, because that's super depressing. We want to move on to the positive, optimistic Friday Night Live show that will be tonight. I don't think anybody else died. I hope not. Lord, that's enough for right now.
No, as far as I know, only they have announced what happened with Gene Hackman.
Oh, yeah.
So the wife had the hantavirus, which is, I guess, in mice, like a very rare thing. And she died first. And then Gene Hackman, sadly, I think he had Alzheimer's. So he might not even be understanding what was going on, or kept forgetting. Like, he was very, very ill.
Yeah.
And then he died a few years after with, I think, cardiovascular. So
the theory, Rambo, and this is a horrifying theory if it pans out, but I mean, it's a possibility. The theory is that he didn't really know what was going on and could have possibly kept forgetting what had happened and kept coming back in and finding what had happened and ended up like eventually having a heart attack. If you could imagine something that fucking horrific. But yeah. Truth is, we still don't really know 100%. We know what happened to her, but we don't really understand like exactly what happened to him. But that is one prevalent theory.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Very scary.
Yeah. So let's transition on to some positive news though for a fucking while. God. Much of that. So we're going to be doing the each year of the 2000s from 2000 to 2004, our favorite films of those years. Mark is still ranking because he's a fucking slacker, and he can't. He also can't decide. I know that's what's going on. Like, he's trying to pick between these movies and cannot do it.
They changed the rules last minute. Oh, we're doing top 3, not top 5. So now I got to fucking change everything. So it's not all my fault.
It's mostly your fault, though.
You didn't have a top 5 to begin with. Like,
I did for the first couple years, at least. So I was halfway done. Then you're like, "Oh, let's change it up." So now I got to do it over.
Just when you think you got the answers, we changed the questions. So, real quick though, before we start, as a bunch of people are starting to pile in here now, before we start actually getting into the main gist of the show, let's go over the chat real quick. We got the Horror Wombat in here. I'm always glad to see the Wombat. Manny's in here. Alpha's in here, and he says he goes through life with that song stuck in his head. Yeah, honestly, sometimes so do I. BMG says, I have digital codes. How do I get them to you guys? I don't ever use digital codes, so just, I don't know.
Are you on the Discord?
That's one way, yeah, if you want to post them on the Dead Pit Discord.
Yeah, if you're on the Discord,
there's actually,
there's a section for it, so that's one way.
TP Productions, 80s Mark, Chaz Flicks, Charlie Sheen's in here, Bulls. That's amazing. You guys having a... I'm not invited. Yeah. You missed your time period, Charlie Sheen. We went through the 80s and 90s, so... Derek Roberts, Justin Smith. Oh, it's good to see you all. Old Charlie. Rufus Johnson. Hell yeah. Holiday Styles. It was deer shit she caught it from. Oh God, I don't even want to know how the fuck you do that. Ugh. I can't put that up there, but I wish I could. Carta, Red, 1750 Films, Jason Byers, Kingslayer. Damn, we got a packed house. And of course, Rambo, your buddy and mine.
Sorry I'm late. Just got off work. Made my day, Rambo. Well, I was wondering.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why I had this film. I think just because I was tears of the features. Because even if I don't like a film, back then I was tears about interviews, making ofs. But this film fucking sucks. That's Bordello of Blood.
Bordello of Blood. It does kind of suck.
This film fucking sucks. You want to see a good version of this, in my opinion, just watch From Dusk Till Dawn. And Dennis Miller, I mean, he's a douchebag.
Yeah, Dennis Miller is awful in that movie. I don't give a damn what anybody says.
And apparently he was a dick in real life too, so it shows. So
that might be the first one of those I've really been happy that you've torn up. Like a lot of
everybody's a winner tonight.
Yeah. Winner, chicken dinner, yeah.
And you got another super chat.
So this one's new to me. CC's coming in with a super chat, $35. I'm not sure. I've never seen CC on here. Have you, Rambo?
No.
So it's good to have you here, sir. Or ma'am, or whoever. Drew's Reviews, Alex Sanchez, bunch of other people are here. X-Ray Punch. Grievous Angel is also one that I don't know. But he's already talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so.
Yeah, there's been an announcement there will be a 4K, but there's no word on whether it's Warner Brothers or if it's Arrow Video. I would hope it'd be Arrow Video because they've been releasing 90s stuff like Demolition Man and Long Kiss Goodnight and stuff, but we'll see. We will see. Oh, I did pick up this. This is thanks to...
Oh, good.
Which I know Uncle Bill's a big fan. Shit all over this movie the other night.
I didn't really shit on it. Like I mean,
I'm just having fun. But to answer your question, yes, I am a big fan. I heard it's like I don't know why he's a big fan of the movie.
No, I said I don't know if I would be a super fan of this movie. That's
to be fair, yeah, he did say that, but that is true. I'm one of the few. But thanks to Greg, this was a very nice gift. I was thinking of getting this, but or a Gravetard shift, as read a comment.
What's funny about that is it was just like a typo, but
I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, thanks to Greg. This is a childhood favorite of mine. I know. I think for me now is nostalgia, but I love the atmosphere in the film, just how everything's like sweaty and dirty, and I think just because I like the blue collarness. Does I relate to them? I love the monster.
Yeah.
It does have like a feel to it that's very like, it's basically set in one location.
Yeah.
And like, it has that kind of vibe. I cannot put that up. I can't put that super chat up. Michael Patowski. Yeah. I would I appreciate the super chat, but I just can't do her. Let's see.
What's funny is there's a guy in the chat pretending to be me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him yet.
But he's very smart because he's like, apparently I talk like, I'm Matt. Hey, I'm Matt.
Is he the one saying, Matt, I want to get you arrested?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing, dude? All right, let's go ahead and well, you'll have to ban him, Rambo, because I can't ban him, or I definitely will.
I'm doing well with people on my chat, but there's a lot of smart people out there who they've heard the word inbreeding.
Cinnamon bagel, we're going to talk about that right now. I'm not even sure how to talk about this exactly, but for those people that didn't see, Michael Felsher made an announcement. I guess it on his Facebook, like a Facebook Live or something. Yeah. So Michael Felsher made an announcement on his Facebook Live that he and Synapse Pictures and Red Shirt Pictures and Synapse Films are going to make. They'll be coming out with Fright Night Part 2, Prom Night 2, Prom Night 3, Prom Night 4, 976 Evil 2, and Angel Heat. Now, what makes this just infuriating to me is that these are all movies that we've asked him about, except maybe for Angel Heat, like over the past 3 or 4 years, probably 100 different times. And people have like asked those questions 100 different times. And I really do just feel like, I mean, he could have just come on our show, man. And we're always talking about scoops and stuff like that. That Fright Night 2 release is the biggest scoop that anybody's done in horror films since, I don't know, like probably since Trick or Treat, to be honest. Probably bigger than Trick or Treat for a lot of people. But what the fuck? You want band news flash there, Rambo? God damn. I don't think
Oh
I
my
can make
God.
that.
What the fuck?
Holy shit. Anyway, I mean, okay, come on our show. We would plug your show because we don't give a shit. We never have given a shit about plugging anybody else's show on our show. Give us the fucking scoop of that one. At least give us Fright Night 2. Jesus Christ, people have been waiting on that forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
No one gives a shit about the other ones.
Well, actually, I mean, I feel like people do about Prom Night 2, but that might be it of that list. Like,
True, but is there a lot of 976 Evil 2 fans?
I don't think there's any fans. That movie's terrible.
No, there's
I
not.
agree.
But
This fucking movie is better. Fuck you, Uncle Bill.
I completely agree with that, though. Is the thing.
I'm just messing.
I wouldn't fucking deny
I'm
that.
just fucking with you. Fuck
Prom
long
Night.
legs.
Also, yeah, Prom Night 4 does suck. I'm gonna tell you that. Definitely. I still have the
That
DVD of
does.
Prom Night 3 and 4 that has the double feature.
All right. Yeah.
Oh,
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
So those movies are not good. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. But
No.
yeah, I'm glad, honestly, that Fright Night 2 is getting a release. And I'm glad that Prom Night 2 is getting a release. I just wish the motherfucker would have just did it on our show.
Yeah.
20 years, Michael Felsher. Damn near 20 years. And I know what's going to happen next, too. He'll have fucking Uncle Creepy on there and Ryan Rotten and fucking Chris Alexander doing historical commentaries about shit. Let's see.
Maybe it'll be
Gosh.
maybe it'll be released when the Menendez brothers gets released. That'd be
Yeah,
funny.
that's right.
They released the same.
Mike,
time.
that's what we should start calling him. No scoops, Felch. No scoops.
Yeah, you made him a song of anything and he screwed you over.
He fucked us over. Uncle Creepy and Kentucky Bill. Some of these names are killer in this chat tonight. So, of those movies, though, man, like, I mean, I like Fright Night 2, but there are people that are insane. There are people that say that Fright Night 2 is better than Fright Night, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I
No.
wouldn't say that.
no, it's not. Like, it's really not.
It's a very fun movie. All the makeup effects are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I've wanted to see that again forever, and I've held out because there's really no good way to watch that movie, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that release. I'll buy it, of course. I'll buy Prom Night 2, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Prom Night 3 and 4, and I definitely don't know about like 976 Evil 2. But
Fuck that.
No, yeah, I'm good on those.
Michael Felsher, what the fuck? You shit on Murder by Phone when I asked the question, but you did 976 Evil 2. Kiss my that movie can kiss my ass.
you didn't
Murder
like
by
the the Astral Factor, the Astral Factor.
No. But I remember he laughed when I mentioned Murder by Phone, and I'm like, dude, fuck a little better than fucking 976 Evil 2 the asshole factor. Shit.
The Astro Factor. That's Jackson Jack. Yeah. I guess Synapse could do that now if they've got the rights to all that shit.
Oh, that's great. A prom night box set. I always wanted that.
Listen, you need to be supportive of Don May Jr. and Synapse Films. I don't have anything against him. Fucking Felcher.
I don't even like the first prom night that much.
I don't either. And people always go on about that movie, and I'm like, I honestly think Terror Train is better. Like, I think Terror Train's a better movie.
I would agree.
Agreed.
But yeah, so that was the big news from this past week by far of anything horror related was the announcement of all those films. This guy's killing me, boys. I can't. Okay. I agree with this, Card. I think Prom Night 2 might be better than the first one. It's certainly more interesting. Buddy, you suck ass.
I know CK is not a Terror Train fan.
The original Prom Night is mediocre. It really is.
Yeah.
Terror Train's great, Wes. What the fuck, buddy? Listen, buddy.
I don't know. He never liked that fucking movie. He's always gone on about that movie. Let's see if there anything else decent came out though here in the past week since we've been going. Not really. Oh well, I guess the Blaxploitation Classic box set was another one that got announced. Unfortunately, at Scream Factory, but like, it does have some amazing like movies in it, and the it's all 4K too, which you can imagine how much it is, but still,
right.
I mean,
the price, it wasn't that bad. I expected it to be a lot more, but because it is priced where it is, it makes me wonder about those transfers and like what their source material was. I don't know if all the details have come out on it yet, but
let's see. The only thing I can find out about it is just they changed the artwork. People must have bitched so much that they changed the artwork.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. It had to be. I mean, there's no other reason why they would have.
So I don't know if people saw this in the beginning. I wish I had a side by side. Hold on, let me see if I can see like if I get a side by side of the set when it first came out versus what it is now. Because when it first came out, it had like really cartoony kind of. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen real quick and give everybody an idea of what the hell we're talking about here. So let's see. Oh, fuck. It's not going to let me. There we go.
And for people in the chat talking about like Fright Night 2 and all that stuff, that none of those have a release date. Just so you guys know. So don't expect them anytime this soon. This year at all. I think it said 2026, maybe. I think they're just starting production on like getting those together.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. That shit is great.
And yeah, for everyone in the chat, I agree. Prom Night isn't that great of a movie.
No, it's not.
He wears like pajama head or something.
Yeah, it's like a sparkling
like ski
mask. Yeah, it looks so shitty.
He looked like you, Mark, when you did that slip video.
Shh, that wasn't me. It was somebody else.
No, people just assumed it was you.
It's some other asshole. That's fucked up. Yeah.
Like, it's Mark. It's a guy in a ski mask. He must be black.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on which convenience store you're out of, I guess.
Right. Shit. Motherfucker, I can't get this thing to access it at all.
Wes, come on. Prom Night's not better than Terror Train. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like AVP Requiem. You can barely fucking see anything with Prom Night.
That's okay. There's nothing worth the shit to see anyway.
That's a good point.
Is he really saying that Prom Night's better?
He
So
said
is he-
Prom Night's better than Terror Train.
Hey, God, buddy. Fuck.
We
Come
teach
on
their
now.
own. People have different tastes. I certainly
Okay.
do, so
He likes the
So-
dancing scenes.
he loves disco.
He does probably love that soundtrack. It is like the soundtrack's the best part of the movie, sadly.
I never knew Wes was a disco guy.
So this is what it looks like. Damn, fucking 10% now. So this is just like they stripped everything out of it other than just like the bare bones kind of look of the box set.
Mhm.
It doesn't have any pictures on the front. It just has the title, basically, which is probably a smart move when you consider what it looked like previous to this. But anyway, it's got the coffee, 4K. Coffee's great. I think it's a
Mhm.
great movie.
Yeah.
It's got was it Truck Turner, 4K, Black
Love that
Caesar,
one.
4K. God, what were the other ones? Hold on. Let's scroll into this so I can see them. Hell Up in Harlem, 4K. Sheba Baby, and Across 110th Street, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one, but all 4K remasters. So let's see what this says. That it is a 2160p ultra high definition HDR widescreen transfer. But what did they get it from? Does it say that at all?
No, I don't see it.
They probably won't tell you.
Hmm.
The original camera negative. Okay, that's
Well, for that one,
4K
let's see.
scan from
It says for all
from
of them.
all of it. Looks like, yeah. So,
Well, that's cool.
I mean, if you like those movies, that's going to look pretty damn good. I'm going to be honest with you.
yeah.
I've seen of those ones on there. I've seen 3 of those because we did the blaxploitation show. There's 2 of them on there that I haven't seen. It's a
See-
12 disc set though. So what is all this? Hold on.
It's Blu-rays.
Oh, okay. I got the
Yeah.
4Ks and
Oh.
Blu-rays.
Hmm.
I don't want to consider anything else from Screen Factory. Thank you.
Only because, like, I think it said 1080p for the other discs. So I'm assuming those are just the Blu-ray versions of the 4Ks.
I mean, I'm glad they're releasing Time Cop, but there's nothing on it, which sucks.
Well, that's true.
And I love Time Cop, but there ain't nothing on it.
That's another one that just recently. Yeah.
There's like no features. What the hell?
Yep. You get the transfer, you get nothing. You're like, fuck you. You just take the movie and like it. Because we're not giving you anything. Look at
There's
that.
not even a fucking trailer on there.
There's nothing, man. They're
For how
like,
much?
what was like $40? Hold on.
Yeah, $35.99. It says.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I mean, it's not going to be that much everywhere, but it's going to be pretty close to that. And like, it doesn't have anything. I've never seen anything like that, man. Where it just had like the
Jesus.
audio and that's it. They're like, fuck it. Nobody. I mean, that's
They
kind of
couldn't-
sad.
They couldn't get an interview with Van Damme at least.
I mean, even
something.
if they didn't get that, get anything like put together a featurette or a fucking. There's assholes out here doing like film historians that are doing featurettes of things they could have put on there, but that's the
Get the
wildest
3 of
thing.
us on there. We'll do it.
Yeah, I mean anything. Let's see
Cheap
what else.
ass
they got.
motherfucker.
What lies beneath? I'm actually interested in because I want to see it again, but I'm definitely not paying $35 for the son of a bitch.
Did that one make any of you guys' lists? Is the question.
What year did that come out? Because
That was
2000.
2000.
I did not make mine. I'll tell you that for that year.
No, I thought the film sucked.
Let's see what the features are. They actually do have some special features for this, though. A new, uncovering what lies beneath feature-length retrospective documentary, including everybody that's in the fucking movie.
Fucking
basically.
shit.
Robert Zemeckis. Look at that shit, everybody. And then there's another featurette, and like,
Wow.
but meanwhile, poor old time cables, they're just like, just put an audio track on that, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's your special feature. You get to hear it.
Feature-length documentary on that fucking movie. But Time Cop just jacked shit. Fuck.
Listen,
you,
Scream
Stephen
Factory
Factory.
can't be bothered with Van Damme. They're too busy with whatever other bullshit they're doing.
I'm not
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie since, oh my God, probably since it came out back on like VHS. So I barely remember it.
But yeah, I mean, there really is nothing else like going on for the Scream Factory. But I did think that set was pretty killer.
Now I know Wes is trolling. Now he says Time Cop is a piece of shit. What the fuck, Wes?
I don't know if he really believes that or not. He might.
I think it's because you shit on What Lies Beneath. He likes that one.
Well, watch the trailer.
Just put it in the chat.
Watch the trailer.
Killer.
All you have to do is watch the trailer. You see the entire movie, What Lies Beneath. It tells the whole movie. It ain't worth shit.
What is the one thing where it's like her and she's like over top of Harrison Ford, and then what does she say to him? Like as she turns, I am your wife or some shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
That's what it is. I am your wife.
It's like, okay.
By the time I think it's Scary Movie 2 now.
That's what. That's the same thing I think of, Rambo. I can't get that out of my head. Okay, so I guess we're ready for the main course. So you guys ready to do this? The films of 2000 to 2004, our favorites from each year. Yeah. And we're going to do 3 this time. So I guess that like our backup, like our top 5, our last 2 will be the actual like honorable mentions. So in the service of time and the fact that like we spend 3.5 hours if we try to do 5 of these, we'll do the top 3. So who wants to start? I can start. It ain't no big deal.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll just go like,
that direction. Either direction. Okay.
So my number 3 from 2000 is going to be, and this is tough.
Do you want to start with your honorable mentions and then go into
I guess I could
get those out the way.
Honorable mentions. Sure. So my honorable mentions in this case then would be, the first honorable mention would be Unbreakable, which is crazy because that's like a favorite movie of mine. But there's a couple other movies on this list that are like, that I've watched way more times and are way higher on this list. But Unbreakable is by far my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, and probably by far like one of my favorite movies to come out during that time period. I remember watching it and just being absolutely blown away when the twist hits and he says that line. I still love that line that he's screaming at the end of the movie. Like, I still think it's like one of the best endings. Way better than any of the other endings Shyamalan has done, honestly. So Unbreakable would be my first honorable mention. Then my next one would be Scary Movie. If I'm being honest, like I think that movie is the second best. Well, it's either second or third best parody movie that I've seen. And it's pretty much, if you like horror films at that time period, and of course I did, like that's probably like the best parody of any, like, you know what I mean? It just hits everything that you want to see in a movie like that.
Yeah.
So that would be my follow-up kind of pick. I could talk about pretty much every scene in Scary Movie is fucking hilarious. But I don't know. One of my favorite scenes of all time, I still kind of like, will fucking like bring this up and quote it and stuff like that just to random people. I mean, all the stuff with Doofy is great. Like that character might be the best character in the whole film. But the scene where she's like, because this is such an obscure reference, especially now, where she's like talking to the guy that's supposed to be like the Skeet Ulrich character, and she's like, I'm sorry if my complicated life gets in the way of your whatever, and then she runs off, but like Nev Campbell does in the movie, but she runs off like all fucking like that's like flailing around. There's like smaller things like that they're just fucking great because you really have to know those movies to catch you a lot of that stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so then I guess I'll move up to my number 3, which this will be hard for y'all to believe too. But my number 3 would be American Psycho.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Because to this day, that is probably one of the most well acted performances in a horror film that I've ever seen. It's right up there with like Anthony Hopkins, Kathy Bates, Robert Shaw, like anybody you can think of that gives like just a performance that just blows everybody else away that's in the movie. Like that's that performance all the way throughout it. And it's way too good and probably really not talked about enough now. It was talked about for a while in the early 2000s, but like, I don't know that it gets talked about enough anymore.
It's my number 3 as well.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that Huey Lewis would be used for a horror scene?
Yeah. And just the craziness of that and like using those 80s songs.
Yeah, Phil Collins.
In that way.
Did you ever read the book? I never read the book.
No, I haven't. I just can't imagine it being better than that fucking movie. But I don't know.
And did you see the sequel? I never did.
Yes, one time I watched the sequel one time and I was like, "That's enough." Like I'm good.
Same here.
Mila Kunis.
It's just man.
Yeah, she kills him in the sequel. She kills Patrick Bateman, which is ridiculous. And isn't William Shatner in that too?
In the sequel, yeah, I think he is.
I think he's like her professor or something.
Yep, I think you're right. It's just awful casting all the way around, like from Mila Kunis down. American Psycho is genius. Yeah. Imagine if Leo had actually played that part as originally planned. Would it be as? No, I don't think anybody could have played that part that way. Like, I don't give a shit who you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Bale knocked out of the park. I think they're trying to remake it again.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
I don't know why.
There are just, I don't either. Like, there's just sometimes, man, where like lightning strikes and you just get something like that. And it's like you're not going to replicate it. It wouldn't matter who else. Yeah. If they'd have picked anybody else, that movie would not have done what it did.
So, one more question I'll ask with the ending.
Yeah.
Do you think it was all in his head or he really did those things?
Yeah, that's after watching it a bunch of times. Like in my opinion, I'm fairly certain that the majority of what was going on was in his head, just based on the last 5-10 minutes of that movie. And there's a lot of but that's the beauty part about movies like that. That's why I like movies like that and like movies that Friedkin makes, because he doesn't tell you and you don't know and you go away like, and you can make like any kind of assumption one way or the other and you could be right. So it's all up to your interpretation of it.
It's great.
Yeah. Great supporting cast too.
Oh yeah, Lord, yeah, Jared Leto. I mean, in a brief role, but still like memorable. As hell. Yeah, and Chloe Savini.
Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
Willem Dafoe.
If you don't like Jared Leto, he dies.
Yeah, and probably the best death scene in the whole movie. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
With I have to be honest with you, the scene I can never get out of my head from that movie that's burned into my mind is the scene with the prostitutes. Is that whole fucking scene is just crazy in so many different ways. And yeah. Anyway. So am I doing all of them or are we doing am I doing all my 2000s?
It don't matter.
We didn't really determine how we're going to do this. Like,
I'll go next. I mean, you just keep going.
Okay.
Okay, so honorable mention for me would be I'm going to try to go for the one. It's like I got a lot for at least 2000 and 2001. I'm going to go for the ones that are a bit more underrated and underseen, but I still think are really, really fun watches and solid flicks. Animal Factory from Steve Buscemi. You guys seen that one?
I haven't seen that.
Mm-mm.
Has his brother in it. Edward Furlong is the lead. Also has Willem Dafoe, John Hurd, Mickey Rourke, Tom Arnold, Mark Boone Jr.
It's in a prison.
Yes, it's prison drama.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider it Furlong's last great film. He actually does a really good job of leading that. I mean, of course, the supporting cast really shines as well. But yeah, it's so he goes to prison, and Willem Dafoe just kind of takes him under his wing and guides him through all the crazy shit that goes on in the prison. But yeah, check that one out, you guys, if you haven't seen it in the chat. So my number 3 was American Psycho. So should I just jump to my number 2, maybe? Since you already kind of covered.
Well, I mean, how you didn't really mention what you liked about American Psycho.
Yeah, I guess I could. So pretty much the same thing. I mean, Bale steals every scene he's in. I want to say that the supporting cast, much like with Animal Factory, really helps a lot just because I can't remember that chick that's in it. You were talking about the scene with the prostitutes.
Yeah.
She's in a lot of other stuff. Her name's slipping my mind, but she's really good. All the music and stuff. It's paced really well. I haven't read the book, but it is a really, really great dramatic piece as well as a horror flick. I think that them trying to like remake it or whatever, it's just not going to work. You mentioned lightning striking once, and that's kind of it. That certainly feels that way. I don't think that there's anybody in Hollywood right now that could redo that role and make it as iconic as that is.
Bill Skarsgård.
Oh God! Let's hope not. He probably would do it too.
I wish to God we could move away from the Skarsgårds. It just fucking
doesn't seem like that's going to
direction.
happen.
No.
But yeah, I mean, what more needs to be said about American Psycho? It's great. I think pretty much everybody in here is a fan of it. So yeah. Another honorable mention is what's the name? An anthology horror flick from God, I can't remember the director's name at the moment, but it stars John Ritter, and it's called Terror Tract. And back in the day, the first time I saw it, it was on a double feature with Cherry Falls.
Oh, shit.
And I think to this day, that's the only way you can buy it. I don't think it's on streaming or anything, but if you guys are interested, track down that DVD. It's a fun watch. You've seen a lot worse when it comes to horror anthologies. It's got Bryan Cranston in there, as well as Buff Bagwell in one of the segments. Just killer.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this like Buff Bagwell when he was still doing the drugs?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Okay.
He was roided out. Yeah.
Crazy ass Buff Bagwell.
Yeah. So those are 2 honorable mentions, and then my number 3 was American Psycho. What about you, Rambo?
Well, I had a decent amount of honorable mentions, so I'll go with them very, very quickly. American Psycho for the reasons you guys said.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriot. Mel Gibson kills the British and make you proud to be American.
That's true. The movie's great. It's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for Roland Emmerich. It never would have known he directed it.
You know
It's
what hurt
very
that movie
different.
though, Rambo, was Braveheart, because it's basically Braveheart,
Yeah.
but like, you know, in the
but it's about
Revolutionary
America.
War. But yeah, but I mean, it's the same movie, the same setup, same plot, everything else. Like, I don't think it's as good as Braveheart, but it's like basically the same. Like, I mean, and if you like stuff like that, it's really great.
Exactly. Requiem for a Dream, excellent movie, great horror movie. If you want a movie that wants you to kick off drugs, that will do it. And I love the way it's directed, love the way it looks, well acted. I think also Jared Leto, right?
Yep. He's the lead. Yeah.
Castaway, Don't watch the trailer because it gives the entire movie away. But great performance by Tom Hanks, nice physical transformation, and it's commendable for a director to make a volleyball a character that actually is kind of memorable in a weird way. And Get Carter, I always thought it was an underrated Sylvester Stallone film with Mickey Rourke. Always enjoyed Get Carter. But my number 3, well, also Unbreakable and The Cell. My number 3, I'm going to put Pitch Black. I actually do like that film quite a bit. I appreciate what they tried to do for the low budget. I do like Vin Diesel. I do think it's his best role, although everything after it has sucked with that character. Because I actually think the script was worthwhile, where he was actually a dangerous criminal. When I first saw it, I didn't know anything about it, and I liked the twists and turns. Rhoda Mitchell I thought was really good. Teef David. I like the design of the creatures by Patrick Tatopoulos, I believe. I could be wrong on that. I like the idea of someone being able to see in the dark. I thought that was a cool sci-fi motif. I thought it was kind of ambitious for a lower budgeted film. I like they didn't skip out on the R rating. Cole Hauser, I thought he did good supporting work. I agree, Pitch Black is the only good Riddick film. And I said the twist that movie had was nice and surprising, where there's certain things I didn't expect. I mean, I don't spoilers for film from decades ago, but
Yeah, I don't think it matters now.
but yeah, I always enjoyed that. And sadly, Vin Diesel does not have a lot of good movies, but that's one that I could go back and enjoy and watch. And you only needed one movie. And I'm a sucker for creature features. So I thought that was a good one. So for me, Pitch Black, I'll put number 3.
That was one of my honorable mentions. I got too many honorable mentions. 2000 was a solid year, man. I think
2000 was a good year, yeah.
Yeah, it's after that it starts to get questionable.
So my number 2, if I'm to be really, really honest here, and my number 1's going to crack you all up, but I've always loved that movie. But my number 2 is Battle Royale. That movie has been ripped off more times than it's up there with shit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween for the amount of times that it's been ripped off since it came out. Mm-hmm. And all this shit nowadays with what is it, Squid Game and all that is essentially based on Battle Royale, as is what is that other fucking movie that came out? The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is the same fucking movie. It's the same thing. And so anyway, but nobody really, in my opinion, did it better than that movie. The characters in it are great, even for an Asian film where it's, the language barrier and stuff is there, but characters in it are great. Some of the deaths are heartbreaking. The violence is outstanding for that time period. Just the overall plot is amazing for that time period too. And I know everybody I'm getting to the point where I almost can't stand to hear Quentin Tarantino talk, but I really am. I really don't give a fuck about Tarantino's opinion about much anything anymore, because he just goes on. It's some of the dumbest opinions nowadays, and just he talks incessantly.
You think he's just trying to be contrarian?
I really just think he's just up his own ass, way too far now.
Like what? What examples
of him being up his own ass? God, I don't know right off the top of my head, Rambo, but there's a
80s is the worst decade.
The 80s, the 80s is the worst decade for films. He hates a couple of films where I was like, how the fuck could you hate these movies? And they're all from the 80s too. But I can't off the top of my head think of what they are. But anyway, that's one thing that I agree with him on is Battle Royale. I say all that to just come around to this point to say that I do agree that this movie deserves to be up there in especially around that time period. Because if you look, man, like nothing was really being done like that during that time period.
Mhm.
And then it got just like everybody was doing it. Like all of a sudden, you know, American directors were doing it and Asian directors were doing it. And just like, yeah. So I think that it really did change the whole kind of climate and atmosphere, and the fact that they would do it too around that time period is crazy. But I guess it has to be Asian people that does it, because you couldn't do anything around that time. If you remember that time period, you know, you couldn't do anything like that at that time.
No, especially the next year you had 9/11, and
Yeah.
they definitely were not going to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Did you see the sequels, the Battle Royale?
No, I've
I
never
did.
seen. I don't imagine they can be worth a shit. Like,
Fucking terrible.
Well, there you go.
They don't even exist as far as I'm concerned. It's terrible.
so
Does
yeah,
Tarantino really like Exorcist 2 more than the first?
he probably
That
does.
sounds like
That
something.
sounds
he'd
like some
pick.
shit he would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some people on here real quick before we go on. Just their picks too. Let's see. Mayor says Gladiator, American Psycho, Pitch Black. Neopunk says Requiem for a Dream, Frequency, Unbreakable, American Psycho, Battle Royale / Memento. Yeah, all solid picks. Blu-ray says Requiem, Boondocks, Donnie Darko. Yeah, American Psycho. Meet the Parents. I'm not sure. Did Meet the Parents come out that fucking year?
That was 2000. Yeah.
Okay. They're all. You're right. Those are all really good movies.
Yeah.
TP says Unbreakable, 28 Days Later, American Psycho. Got 28 days in another year, but who knows?
Wait, I think that's 28 Days with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that might be what he's
The
talking
Rehab movie? Okay.
Yeah, that came out in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, 20 Days Later is
That's
years
2002, I think.
So I think he's talking about the Sandra Bullock movie.
Okay. I've never heard anybody reference 28 Days as being their favorite movie, but all right, to each his own.
I love it. It's different.
I just read this in the Iron Sheik's voice. Oh, fuck the Hunger Games. Yeah. And then Charlie's got Unbreakable, Emperor's New Groove. Now that one I would not have known. Remember the Titans? There's a whole bunch of honorable mentions on there. God, Scorsese like extras too. That should tell you everything you need to know about his fucking taste in movies at this point.
They probably like Emilio Perez too.
Damn. Okay. So yeah.
So Mark,
Who's next? Mark.
That's me. Yeah, so couple more honorable mentions, and that'll be the end of it. Somebody already mentioned Hollow Man. That's definitely one for me. Saw that in the theater. Could watch that movie over and over. I will have to say it is my favorite Invisible Man story. The movie just flows, and it doesn't even feel like you're watching it for like 90 minutes or whatever it is. Verhoeven did a good job with it. A lot of interesting practical violence, of course, other than the obvious CGI effects. Yeah, it's pretty off the wall and crazy, but love it. Crouching Tiger, which I think might be Ang Lee's masterpiece. I don't know how you guys feel about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Chow Yun Fat for that matter, but I thought he did a fantastic job. I'm sure everybody knows what it is.
I loved him in The Seventh Curse. What? I did.
Yeah,
that little fetus boomerang. I love that.
I guarantee you that's a lot better than Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Fuck that movie.
Oh
wow.
shit.
I'm surprised. Okay.
Them flying around like fucking Tinkerbell and stupid shit on strings. I'm flying around. Yeah.
Real quick. This comment's fucking about to kill me. Sandra Bullock film is the first film in the trilogy. Sorry. Continue with the Crouching Tiger hate. I haven't honestly seen that movie since it came out, like literally at the theater when it came out. Like I haven't seen it since then, so I have no idea. I have no recollection of it, other than some of the wire tricks that people are talking about.
Just a bunch of lame fucks being in love. You don't give a shit, and then they're flying in trees like fairies.
I love that and flying around.
Bunch of fucking flying sissies.
All right.
That's his tagline for his review.
Flying sissies, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2. Yeah.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Sissies.
I don't know how politically correct that is these days.
Sissies. Can you even say sissies anymore?
No.
We have, though, multiple times.
Man.
I think sissies is still all right.
That's great, Rambo.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Pussies.
For some reason,
lost my train of thought.
I don't know why.
Exactly.
I could say pussies all day, but like sissies just sounds weird. Anyway.
All right. Anyway, moving on from that. I had Requiem for a Dream as my number 2.
Oh God.
The perfect cautionary tale for not doing drugs and for people that lead that kind of lifestyle. I mean, it's a dead end to nowhere. Leto's performance is fantastic. Even Marlon Wayans does a great dramatic role. I know he doesn't have a ton of those, but he really showed his acting chops, I think, in that one. Of course, Jennifer Connelly is just always fantastic to look at, especially around that time. Mm-hmm. And it's one of Aronofsky's best movies, in my opinion. I don't think it's necessarily a feel-good movie, but anytime that I put it on, like, it puts me in a certain mood that like most other movies don't, except for maybe something like Drugstore Cowboy or certain ones like that.
I almost had that on here in my top 3. I almost did.
Requiem for a Dream.
Oh yeah, because of one thing, man, that Ellen Burstyn performance. Like to me, like that gets like overlooked, I think, in the whole scheme of that movie and Jennifer Connelly and all that shit. But like that performance is insanely good. Like she loses her mind literally throughout that performance, like through the duration of it. It's just her descending into like psychosis and stuff.
Yes.
And it's so good and so like heartbreaking, like to watch that whole thing happen, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my number 2. And wait, I can't go to number 1. You go, Rambo. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Number 2 is a film you mentioned, Hollow Man. Mm-hmm. In my top 3, Paul Verhoeven after RoboCop and Total Recall. And like you, I love the cast, Kevin Bacon, Josh Brolin, Elizabeth Shue. I love that you took the Invisible Man and just made it a slasher film. And the way Paul Verhoeven did it, it's like he's going to have nudity, he's going to have gore. The special effects were pretty good for their time. I like that the third act becomes just a straight up horror slasher movie, which I know is what critics didn't like because they expected something much more intellectual, but I like that he went for that more visceral route because you rarely see that with, especially an Invisible Man movie, and to have the budget to do that I thought took guts. I know I didn't really do well, but Hollow Man, I appreciate that take on it. And like you, it's my favorite Invisible Man story. And yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of good escapism in the third act where they're trapped in the lab. And I always enjoyed it since I first saw it. I thought it was a fun, R-rated, really a slasher movie, but with a pretty A-caliber cast, like Kevin Bacon and Josh Brolin and etc.
The Baconator. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So, Holler Man, where does that leave us? Is this number 1 now?
Yeah.
Number 1.
All right. So get ready for this one.
It's ready to rumble.
I've always it's so killer if it was, but no. I've always loved this movie, man, and I can't deny the fact that like it's my favorite movie that year, and also that like the guy that I think does the best job is a guy that universally kind of gets panned as for his acting nowadays. But my number one is Snatch. I've always loved that movie. I think Brad Pitt as the gypsy like does that's the to me still his best performance, bar none, without a doubt. Statham is great in it. Everybody in that movie is great. The guy that plays the governor is great. Like I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but like, and it's so well edited and so well paced for an action film. And the shit that you think is going to happen like doesn't happen, and there's like a million different twists and turns, like in that movie about what you think is going to be the end result and what actually ends up happening, and especially with like the fights and stuff like that. And his performance in that fucking accent, man, was enough to sell me on it. You like Dags? Like, what? Dags? Oh, dogs. Yeah. I like Dags. Just that you can't understand like half of the shit that he's saying throughout the whole movie, but like if it's an actual language. So I mean he's speaking English, just a broken form of it. It's to me, it's like the British version of Pulp Fiction. That'd be the easiest way I could describe it. And I think I just think it's a great movie.
That's surprising. I didn't know you were a fan of that one. Do you like a lot of the Guy Ritchie stuff, or is that like
I like Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, like almost on the same level, but not quite as much. But I saw that movie around the time that it came out, and I wore that DVD. That might have been one of the first DVDs that I ever got. That might have been right around the time they were transitioning from VHS to DVDs, actually. But yeah, I watched that movie like 1,000 times.
Wow. Okay. That is a good one. I wish I had put that one on my list. Kind of forgot about it.
When I saw it on there, I'm like, yeah, that's gotta be my number one.
No, it's a great pick. No surprise for me with my number one is Memento. Nolan's major breaking out movie. I mean, I don't think many people reference Following at all, or probably have even seen it. But Memento kind of put him on the map. I really like Guy Pearce as the lead. It's got an interesting story, one that you could kind of go back and try to pick apart, but somehow it still just fits together. A lot of the crime elements in it are pretty fun too. And then, of course, a great supporting cast: Joe Pantoliano, Carrie-Anne Moss, both of which were year prior were in The Matrix. Just a fun movie that I think has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, given like all the big, crazy budgeted stuff that he's doing now. Not that I dislike all that stuff, even though I know, Rambo, you hate Oppenheimer, but I like that kind of a scale of movie for him. He really shined doing something like that, not having a ton of money to work with, and the creativity sort of pushed past all of the budgetary constraints. So that's number one for me.
Yeah, I like Memento. It's got great performance by Guy Pearce, and the script is very interesting.
Yes, very.
It's a crazy good movie, though, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Very solid.
What do you got, Rambo? What's your number one?
My number one, I had to think about it for a bit. I would go with Frequency.
So I actually saw that in the theater, too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that when I was looking through the choices, that one I thought has for me, a really good, heartfelt story that's appealing to me. I thought Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel did a really solid job. I like the idea of the story. It's a little bit like a Twilight Zone type of story where, long story short, Jim Caviezel's a cop. He finds his radio. By a twist of fate, he could talk to his dad who had already passed away, but he's able to talk to him in the past. and not only saves his life, but then helps him with this crime where there's a killer. But yeah, I thought both actors did a wonderful job. I thought they had really good back and forth. I thought, like I said, the idea not only was interesting to see how things in the past changes for things in the present, but also it was just a really heartfelt father and son story. And I thought it was very sweet. And I'm not even a Garth Brooks fan, but I don't even mind the song at the end. It's like one of the only songs from Garth Brooks I could listen to. And yeah, I think if you like father and son stories with a hint of a sci-fi twist, and again, it has a bit of a killer subplot as well for those who are into that stuff. I think it's a really solid movie. I've always thought it was underrated, and yeah, it was a good script in my opinion.
I haven't seen it in 25 years, but I remember liking it. I remember that I think Wes and I went and saw that movie. If I'm not mistaken, I think we did. And we both liked it. I know that coming out of the theater. But I can't fucking remember it. I mean, I remember that when you mentioned the plot, I remember it, but I just can't remember the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone out there, if you've never seen it or you haven't seen it for a while, for me personally, I think it's worth rewatching, going back to it. So
I'll have to revisit it. It's been forever. I kind of forgot about it, honestly.
God.
Yeah, it wasn't the Chris Gaines.
It wasn't the Chris Gaines era. Yeah.
I remember that weird midlife crisis, whatever he was going through.
Poor fucker. Okay.
Well, I don't feel so. He's rich, so
yeah.
I love to be that poor.
I just feel bad that he even decided to do that and thought that would be an idea. Yeah, to be a rock star with like an emo haircut, and it's awful. All right, so let's do. You ready for 2001? A Space Odyssey. All right. Let's give my honorable mentions here first. So my honorable mentions, and I'm not joking, would be Joe Dirt. I fucking love that movie. I think that movie is like one of the best comedies that SNL style, like guys that came out with those kind of movies. That one of the best one of those. I love that movie. It's like one of the most quotable movies ever, too, from that time period. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's also one of my honorable mentions. That might be one of the last really great Kevin Smith movies. Where he still had the wit, and he could still write, and the characters still kind of like fit and everything.
It still made you laugh.
Yeah, it still worked. And then he lost that,
love and feeling.
Lost that love and feeling, yeah.
You lost the smile.
No, he loves it. He loves smiling and crying.
I was going to say, I thought he loves crying.
Well, happy tears of joy.
Scary Movie 2, which might be it might be better than the first one, honestly. But I give it to Scary Movie just because of the originality. But the scene in Scary Movie 2, and everybody knows the scene. There's two scenes really in that movie. I've seen probably 1,000 times, and that is the scene at the beginning with the Exorcist ripoff, and the scene where Chris Elliott's stuffing the fucking turkey. That's never fails to make me laugh, man. Never. I could watch that scene right now and die laughing.
David Cross in his wheelchair chase.
David Cross, yeah, he's great.
Richard Ball.
And then I guess the last honorable mention will probably go to Blow. I love that movie.
I have that as an honorable mention.
Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, Ray Liotta. It's great.
You know why I love that movie though so much? Because it was one of those movies that's based around the drug culture and things like that, and being a drug dealer and everything. But it ends in the most depressing way humanly possible. So if you watch that movie, it ends. I'm going to give the movie away for people who haven't seen it, but I mean most people have seen that movie by now. It's 25 fucking years old almost. Of course. It ends with Johnny Depp getting captured by snitches and plants, and he gets sent to prison. And his daughter, you see his daughter coming in to like visit him, and she forgives him for all these things that he's done because all he really wanted was to have a relationship with his daughter throughout the movie, and like all this drug shit got in the way.
Yeah.
And then it pans out, and you find out he's just imagining. He's an old man, and he's just imagining that she showed up, and she never really showed up, and he's just standing in this prison yard by himself.
Or
And
no, wasn't it that she was an adult? That like
yeah, that was
they kind of infer that he had missed all her childhood years and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
she's already an adult. And then they show the actual picture of the real guy, George Jung, at the end.
Yeah.
So
And
based
like-
on a true story.
But if you're going to do a movie about that kind of shit, it should be. I don't think you should glorify it. In other words, that's
Right.
like the least glorified ending to a movie you can imagine. It's kind of like insinuated that maybe he has dementia or something like that, or he's not all there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that movie's great. Anyway, so then my number 3 is it's going to end up being Ghost World. I know that's fucking weird.
Wow. Okay.
But that movie, I saw that movie again not too long ago. I think Carta or somebody had recommended it, or somebody had us watch it.
Hmm.
And I was like, this movie is fucking brutal. And sometimes you'll watch a movie like that, and like what happens in the movie is so crazily like mean spirited that it transcends the meanness and becomes like a comedy almost, to the point where like just so much bad shit is happening to this character and in the like worst possible way that you can imagine, that it almost goes from being sad to being like funny in a way. And it's played almost that way for like comedy. So I couldn't help but laugh at some of the mean shit that was like being said and done in that movie. And I think that the director wanted you to kind of like take it that way too, like a dark humor kind of aspect of it. But it's so good at like that, and so good at like straddling that line between trying to be serious and then the shit that the character does, the main character, like being so absurd, and like the way that she's treated being so crazy that, yeah, it kind of descends into a comedy basically. So I love that movie. And I'm glad that whoever it was, if it was Cardo, God bless him for bringing that movie back to my attention after 20 years.
Nice.
We got super chat. I think we got 2 super chats I missed. Hold on.
Okay.
Darth Goldust says, what's your guys' favorite superhero cartoons?
Batman the Animated Series for me.
That's a good one, Mark.
It's probably my favorite.
Barbed wire. No, let me think. Ninja Turtles aren't superheroes, so I gotta think of and Mark stole my other one, Batman, you assholes. I think fuck, I gotta look up. Let me look it up real quick.
The 90s Spider-Man was good too. There's some really good
Favorite
episodes.
superhero cartoon. What about the X-Men show from the early
Oh, hell yeah.
2000s? Was it 2000s, Mark?
Yeah.
That was a great
90s.
show.
No, 90s, and then
90s,
going
okay.
into 2000s.
Yeah, I watched that quite a bit.
Yeah, I go to Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman Beyond. That was a good one. So I'll say those.
Yep.
X-Men was good as well.
And then let's see, Hopium says The Village. Well, shit. The Village could have been really good if it didn't have a stupid twist and was R-rated. If the Red Hoods were actual, yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of people would agree with you, Opium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Now-
movie.
Did you predict the twist, or it was so stupid you're like, fuck it?
No, I didn't predict it. But what's weird is I had read a book right about a week before we went and saw that movie, and it was that ending. I can't remember what to this day. I probably said it on the road video. If you want to go back and find that, because we did an on the road video for that. I probably said what the book was at that time, but I can't remember now. But like, I was like, this is bullshit because that book had nothing to do with that movie, by the way. It was like an old book from the, I don't know, 60s, 70s. But anyway, it had the same setup, same ending, same everything. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. They just stole that fucking book. Like, so I could never really get over that. That part of it. I just didn't enjoy the movie that much.
Yeah, like most, pretty much.
You were doing On the Road in 2004?
That's how that come out.
Yeah, I think it was 04, yeah.
I didn't think you had done
Maybe we did.
yet.
Well, we went and saw it together. Maybe we didn't do it on
okay.
the road of it, but I thought we did. Fuck, I don't know.
Maybe it was another movie. Maybe it was another M. Night Shyamalan movie, and you mentioned The Village.
I could have swore we did one of that though, but maybe I'm wrong. But we definitely went and saw that movie at the same place that we saw all the other shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, what a twist. Fuck. The twist that would be making a good movie.
Also, it makes no sense because they're making pig noises and monster noises, but they're humans. The fuck is wrong with M. Night?
Maybe Let's Deliverance.
Could be.
They squeal like pigs.
Okay. So yeah, who's up?
I think it's me.
Yeah. Rank them.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the honorable mentions first, get those out the way. So you mentioned some comedies, and I've only got one on here, but those are pretty good too that you mentioned. I just didn't happen to include them. One is Evolution with Julianne Moore, David Duchovny.
Evolution is a mystery. Not that one, right?
No.
Get Lemmy some water. It's always been a fun movie to me. I mean, the CGI is definitely dated by this point, but I watched it a few months ago and it still makes me laugh. Sean William Scott, I think, was still fairly new to acting, and given that that's the situation with him, he actually still does a good job. I mean, I think the year before he did Final Destination, and of course in '99 American Pie was like the breakout thing for him, but he's a really good addition to that cast. His timing, that is pretty funny. And I think that's Ivan Reitman, I believe.
Yep.
And yeah, that would have been in between like the last years of X-Files. And even though it was still like some of the same kind of subject matter, I think they nailed the comedy in it. I love that movie. Got a lot of really fun scenes. Especially the mall sequence is probably my favorite. But yeah, I'm going to go past Evolution. Next one is one that everybody probably knows, Joyride with Paul Walker. Always had a blast with that. That one's, I believe, partially written by J.J. Abrams and as well produced by him. But it's got such a fun, thrilling aspect. It's a cool premise. And so many standout scenes. One in particular is where they have the truck driver go to the wrong room at the motel, and they sort of send him off to, a false door and a false room. And you see the aftermath of what happens to the guy. And Paul Walker and Steve Zahn go to the hospital, and they're like, okay, what happened to this guy? And the sheriff explains, like, he had his jaw ripped off. And you see the guy in the bed, and he's just, he's all fucked up. And you're like, you start to think as a viewer on the first time watch, at least, like, what the hell? Like, who the hell have they been talking to that can fucking rip somebody's jaw off?
I wish I could do that guy's voice. That
yeah.
Turn to turn.
That's
Exactly.
Yep.
It's very memorable. And I mean, everybody knows the actor, especially, you've seen Silence on the Lambs and a ton of other movies. You know who the actor is. Yeah. So that one's always a favorite.
Could talk to be 10 to 10.
What's that he says? He's like, I bet you thought that was pretty funny. What happened? It's almost like a Billy Bob Thornton
Yeah, kind of.
I can't do a deep accent.
Yeah. Blow was another honorable mention, but you mentioned that one already. One that I got to put on here is Bully from Larry Clark. If you guys remember that one, I think that one was written by, I think it's David McKenna, who also wrote Get Carter and a bunch of other stuff. And it's basically a true crime adaptation of a book from a murder that happened in the mid-90s to a guy named Bobby Kent. And it's a great cast: Michael Pitt, Bijou Phillips, Leah Fitzpatrick, Brad Renfro, who's always solid. They have such a really interesting chemistry between those guys. And it's, I would say, almost objectively bad or good, depending on like if you like true crime, just because like that's actually what happened. I had read all the stuff from the book, and I know the case very well, and they nailed pretty much every scene. It's very much like how Fincher did with Zodiac, where he went in and like looked at every crime scene photo and copied everything like verbatim to get it all in the movie. So it's very much like that. And then last honorable mention is the first Fast and Furious. And they still maintain that that's a solid and very fun movie. All those great practical effects stunts. It's just amazing, especially the stuff with like the car going under the truck. Now, obviously, all the sequels will become super CGI fest later on, but the first one is still a very, very fun, grounded in a lot of ways, heist crime action movie. I know you were going to say that, but I don't give a fuck. Wouldn't you rather watch this one though? Be honest.
Damn it.
Don't lie.
What?
Wouldn't you rather watch Fast and the Furious though? If you had to pick between the two?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. At least I got that. Small victories.
I'd rather watch Too Fast, Too Furious or Tokyo Drift.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Or Fast as Fuck.
So you disagree with me. You just said you agree with me. You said Fast and Furious is better than Point Break.
That's no, I said, would you rather watch it? I mean,
yeah, you said yeah.
Well, you agree. Only because I know you hate Point Break.
But you agree with me, so I'm right.
I'll be honest with you. That one confounds me about how you could not like Point Break. It seems it would have everything in it that you would like in a movie, Rambo. First of all, it's like all action. It's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah.
It got, I don't know how you feel about Swayze, but I know you're pretty good on Keanu Reeves. It's got Lori Petty. It's fucking Anthony Kiedis is in the son of a bitch and shoots his foot off. Like, I mean, what more do you want, really?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All right. Well, I am looking forward to the Fast and Furious Fast as Fuck when that comes out, though. Just
That's going to be the next
called that.
It should be.
I wish it was called that.
So no more honorable mentions because we'll run out of time. Number 3 is Mulholland Drive. And we recently talked about that one, the unfortunate passing of David Lynch a few weeks ago. So many twists and turns and peaks and valleys in that movie. Justin Theroux's character is probably my favorite in it. The almost uncompromising director that he portrays is something that I think most filmmakers in Hollywood wish they could be without, outside pressures coming in, but you know how that works in Hollywood. Then Naomi Watts' character is obviously really interesting too. But it's one of those films where it's like a dream. I mean, you don't know what to make of certain scenes when they play out. But by the time you get to the end, you're like, okay, there's a lot to dissect. It's an experience. I got to go back and look at this and see how that fits. And it's almost like a puzzle piece. Like you got everything laid out, but you can kind of move pieces around to make it fit and make it into something else. Yeah. So yeah, it's always enjoyed that one.
First film that I ever saw Well, one of the first films I ever saw, Mark, that was like what you would say, like abstract kind of avant-garde, non-linear kind of film.
Yeah.
To where there's shit going on, but it's not really like it's all pieces of something else going on. It's not really like set out like you get from point A to point B, like going
Yeah.
straight through the movie like that. There's just a
Mhm.
lot of imagery in that movie that is insane.
Agreed.
All right, Rambo, what you got?
Well, you mentioned the honorable mentions I had: Scary Movie 2, Joyride. And I was wondering between these two, what would be my number 3. So I'll say, for the sake of argument, honorable mention, I'm a big Van Damme fan, so The Order, which is one of his early direct-to-video films. But I thought for a direct-to-video film, it was actually pretty decent. It was by Sheldon Lettich, who did Double Impact. Thought the actresses were pretty good for a direct-to-video film. It's one of the last times Van Damme showed a lot of actual like smiles, emotion. Because afterward, he played a lot of characters as very dour and very kind of stone-faced. So it's like, and it was nice, one of the last hurrahs to see him, have a little bit of that joyful personality that he had in some of his earlier films.
Was that the one with Brian Thompson?
Yeah, he played the villain. It's like an Indiana Jones type of adventure movie, and I think Israel Charlton Heston has a cameo.
Yeah.
So that one I always enjoyed. But number 3 was Evolution, which Mark mentioned.
Mhm.
For the same reason you said. Ivan Reitman, it's pretty much Ghostbusters, but with aliens. But I like that concept. Orlando Jones, Sean William Scott, Ed David Duchovny. Being a big X-Files fan, it was cool to see him in the star of the lead.
Yeah.
I do always remember that scene. There's always time for lubricant.
Yeah.
That bit. I agree the effects don't hold up the best, but I do like the designs. I do like the look. It's just, the effects don't hold up because it's 2001. But it's a fun adventure. It's silly. It's goofy. I mean, hell, they defeat the villains with shampoo head and shoulders.
Yeah.
You don't take it seriously, but I think it's just the chemistry of the cast. Like Orlando Jones, always enjoyed him. Always thought he was funnier than people. Like someone mentioned, they thought he was funnier than Kevin Hart. I agree. Always liked him as an actor, and I thought him and David Duchovny worked well together. And I mean, Ivan Reitman, capable director, and it was better. That's better than any Ghostbusters film we've had after that, in my opinion. Like, to me, that's more Ghostbusters 3 than any of this shit afterward, in my opinion. It's like that captured more of the spirit and the fun tone. So, yeah, Evolution I always enjoyed. I always thought it was underrated. And if you ever get the Blu-ray, definitely listen to the commentary. It's a lot of fun because all those guys are together just having fun watching the film. So, and rest in peace, Ivan Reitman, who's sadly no longer with us. Great talent.
So what are we doing? 2?
Number 2, yeah.
2.
All right, 2. So my number 2 from 2000. Are we just on 2001? Boy, we gotta speed the fuck up. Like,
It's got to be a 3-hour show. There's no getting around it.
all right, so I can't.
We didn't get to it till an hour in.
That's true. My number 2 is going to be one we've already talked about, which is Joyride. So for all the things that Mark said, and just the fact that like it's got so many great scenes. Like you were talking about the first scene where they actually set him up and send him into that. The scene where like what is the dude's name? Not Paul Walker, but the other guy. I always forget his name. Steve Zahn. He gets his leg like stabbed into the side of the thing, and then like broke. Like he can't get out because his leg is like he's got the metal spike thing in his leg.
Yeah.
Paul Walker's trying to get him out of there, and he's driving the truck towards him, like, and all that shit. That whole scene is great.
Fantastic ending, which was not the original ending. I think the original ending sucks. It's terrible.
Had the thing where he had like a shotgun or something set up.
Yeah.
If you open the door and was that Lily Sobieski that was in that? Or
yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Lily Sobieski was like, the ending of it is like they're trying to get to her, and she's tied up in this hotel room, but she's got a shotgun pointed at her head. They come in the front door like it's gonna blow her head off, And just that whole thing, you just whole time thinking like they're going to kill her, like for sure. Like there's no way. It's got a very Hitcher-esque kind of vibe when you get to that part of it too. But I guess more of a happier ending than the Hitcher did. But I've always just loved that movie. I always thought it was insanely well executed, and the whole Rusty Nail character and that voice and everything it's like an updated version of Duel, but somewhat better than Duel in a way, because you actually have the added benefit of like the voice.
Yeah.
You never really see the guy, but you hear the voice at least. So yeah.
And they have a different guy playing Rusty Nail in the one scene where he's setting up the shotgun and everything.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, and if you know the voice and the actor, you know that's not him doing the voice.
I always hated that though. Like you don't need to see any of the guy really.
No.
Like it's the same shit with when they did High Tension. Like I didn't ever really need to see what that guy looked like, to be honest. Like or you know, I guess the version of what that guy looked like. Whatever you want to call it. So since we've already done Joyride, do you want me to just do my number one? Because you've already fucking talked about it too, so I might as well.
Sure.
My number one's Mulholland Drive. So
okay.
From that year. So for the simple fact that like I don't think I've ever seen another movie like that. To this day, I'm not sure that I've seen a movie like that. And that's the great thing about Lynch's movies, were that like he didn't tell you anything about what they were about. He didn't tell you anything about what you should think about them, like what the, plot was or anything else like that. It just kind of played out like a work of art or something. Like you just have to figure out like what you think it's about. And I've always been fascinated by filmmakers that do that. And that's when we're talking about like, people that give the endings that are very like, they don't tell you what to think per se, or like how you should feel about it or anything. And Cruising's a great example of that. Because that movie, I just had that movie in my head because it just got re-released by Arrow. But like that's a good example of a movie like that where you watch that movie and you're like, what in the fuck does that mean? Like, but I mean, at least you think about it afterwards. Like I'll still sometimes be sitting around and be like, what the fuck does that movie mean? Like where does that fit in, all the stuff that happens in it? And this movie's the same way. Like, what does some of the scenes in this movie mean? Like,
right, yeah.
You just go through the whole movie kind of trying to piece that together. And it's got that great scene of the guy having the heart attack and like dying and that whole thing. And the diner scene at the beginning is probably one of my favorite scenes, period, in any movie. It's just Naomi Watts is great. It's a great movie.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember Lynch on the red carpet, and like the lady that was like doing the interviews and stuff, she's like, so what does this movie mean? What's it about? And he's like, well, what do you think it's about?
Yeah, that's all he would ever say. Yeah.
And then she asked another question. He's like, well, what do you think that means? It was always answering a question with a question every time.
There's this great interview with him and this critic. And like this critic is giving this really long, like kind of thing. He was like, one thing I noticed about all your films, and especially about Eraserhead, is that there's symbolism in it about like time. That means like you see like certain things of time throughout each one of the films, and especially in Eraserhead. Anyway, he just goes on and on and on. He goes, is it fair to say that I'm right about that? And David Lynch goes, no. That's all he says. And he just
like an
goes
hour.
on. Yeah.
That's great. Oh man.
Anyway, that's my 2 and 1 together there.
You want to go to the chat real quick, or should I just go?
Yeah, just go.
Okay.
We're gonna pick up after this. We'll get to the chat after the year.
Okay. Next one is Frailty, which I don't think needs any explanation, but I will at least say what I love about it. When I first saw it, it was very unexpected. I had no idea what it was about, and it completely delivered on performances. I really think it's an underrated performance by all parties involved. Paxton, McConaughey especially, who's just going for it, and even Powers Booth, where like you look at him and he's doing so little, but he's so good. You know what I mean? Like he's barely in it. I mean, if you calculate all the screen time, but still super memorable performance. and not even a huge cast per se, but what they do have to work with, I think, just works in every way possible. I think Paxton nailed it. Yeah, it's a great film. I ain't going to spend too much time on that. Everybody knows about Frailty. And then same thing with my next one, which would be my number one, just Training Day.
I'm putting cases on all you.
So much great dialogue. One of the best Ayer scripts. I mean, hell, that plus Denzel's performance got him the Oscar. But
it's crazy. That performance is still great.
Yeah, it is. Made me an Ayer fan for pretty much life. Like everything he did after that, some really good, very entertaining. There's a few bad ones in there, but for the most part, I've been a fan ever since that. And I mean, Ethan Hawke, I think that made him even bigger in my eyes. Like I wouldn't say he was a bad actor or anything before that. It didn't seem like he had anything that was super standout. I mean, people talk about stuff like Gattaca and shit like that, but like when that hit, I just think that their chemistry in that movie, it just launched him to a different level, in my opinion. But yeah, Training Day, I don't need to talk about. Everybody knows that movie and how great it is. But yeah, I love it. Pretty much everything about it.
There's the thing about that movie, Mark. I can't ever watch. Oh shit! Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. It's freezing on mine. I can't ever watch that movie now without fucking thinking of that episode of Chappelle's Show with Wayne Brady, where he gives him like the it's like a joint or something to smoke, and he's like, you know what you're smoking? Like,
oh yeah,
PCP, Sherman Helms. He starts naming off all his shit.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
What do you got, Rambo?
Well, okay, I'll go quick. Number 2, I put Rush Hour 2.
Shit, I forgot that movie came out that year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, while I do like the first one, the second one I liked even more because I thought while they still have great chemistry with each other, I thought that the second film, if it seemed a bit funnier to me, I thought the action was a bit more choreographed in a good way. I thought it came off a bit better, and the fight sequences. I thought that the change of location in China was a benefit, a good set design. It just made it feel like a bigger movie. They definitely had a bigger budget with the second film. And all that, yeah, I thought it was a tighter paced movie. And yeah, I do like the first one, but the second one, I liked even more so. I just thought it was a lot of fun. And I thought those two, Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, had really good chemistry with each other. And even the bit where, you know, we could have been something special, but you crazy bitch. So I definitely thought it was a lot of fun. And then the other movie, 2001, I would say it would be a film not many people know about, but it's an action film I always enjoyed. And it's called Kiss of the Dragon. And
I thought about putting that one on here as an honorable mention.
It's one of the only Jet Li American films I do truly enjoy because it really is just a tightly paced. Pretty much a guy beating the shit out of everybody for like 90 minutes.
Much better than The One, which also came out the same year.
Yes. Chetty Terrio, who is the bad guy in Bad Boys, he's the villain in this. I always enjoyed the line where Jet Li says, I'll give you the kiss of the dragon. He's like, kiss my ass. Just the way he said it. Has Bridget Fonda in the film. And it's fun in the same way of films like The Beekeeper or some of those films today, where it's just a simple plot and has some nice locations in Paris that I thought they shot very well in. The action choreography was very well done, very tight. And
was that Korean?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
Jet Li did not have a good handle on English, but they kind of knew that. So he gave him very little dialogue, and it was more of Just utilize your tools to fight, which was for the benefit of it. And I thought in that they used them very well. I mean, you even have the classic, the classic trope of course, this police station has a bunch of people training martial arts in one dojo thing. Because all police stations have that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Yeah, even in France, they all have
Mhm.
their D's ready to fight and stuff. That's at all police. But it's just, hey, he just beats up everybody like the old days of Bruce Lee. And whether it be two sticks or using the flagpole, use it as a weapon. Exactly. I mean, he fights everybody. There's the bit where he hits a pool cue ball up out, and then he does this great kick where he slams it right into a guy's forehead. It's a very fun, simple, fast-paced action film that, like I said, to me, it's my favorite Jet Li film. I think it's his best, especially best American film. So that's a film that always appealed to me. So Kiss of the Dragon would be my number one favorite of 2001.
Very varied choices between all of us, which is good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the chat here. Charlie's got Shrek, Rush Hour, Training Day, Fast and Furious, Joyride, Harry Potter, a bunch of honorable mentions there. And then we got a bunch of people just quoting a lot of the lines from these movies, which is great. Some of them are fucking hilarious. Let's see here. I'm way far behind on this chat. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Shrek, Bandits, and Training Day. A lot of people like Training Day. Training Day, Evolution, Joyride.
Oh yeah.
Cool. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're not allowed to leave, Rambo. That's how this works. Son of a bitch. A lot of Training Day and a lot of Joyride. So, yeah.
Good movies,
So,
good picks.
While he's gone, have you seen Anora yet, Mark?
Yeah, I liked it.
I watched it last night.
Okay.
And I liked it, but I was like, what? We're going to talk about it in great detail. So no worries, because we have like a request for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But up until the ending of the movie, I was kind of like, what in the fuck is I mean, it's good and everything, but like, why is this movie nominated for 57 Oscars? And then the ending came along and I was kind of like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's kind of full circle type of thing.
Yeah, it was surprising. I mean, it's one of those flicks I expected very little out of, just because of all the nominations and stuff. You know how that goes. But yeah, I liked it. I don't know about all the crazy nominations and a lot of the hype it got, but it was solid overall.
Anora, I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I just know that apparently, what was the person thanked all the hookers of the world or whatever the hell in her speech. Like,
that makes sense. There's a lot of hookers and nudity in this. Yeah.
Yeah. A shout out, like, thank you for all the hookers. I'm like, cool, let's have more hookers.
I mean, if you're going to give a shout out to somebody, might as well be all the hookers.
Let's give more hookers jobs, or more jobs for more hookers.
Hookers 401ks.
Hookers Union.
Hookers.
That would be the best union ever. Jackson's thanks, horse.
On a side note, it's bullshit. Debbie Moore didn't win. I expected it.
Well, I knew she wasn't going to fucking win. I had some hope, but
it's funny, like, what happened, the character and the substance happened in real life. Fuck the older person, it's the younger person.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, the point of the movie happened in real life, so how ironic.
Dope. All right, 2002. So,
that would be you.
My honorable mentions go to Narc, Do y'all remember Narc? It was a great
Yes.
Ray
little known
Liotta.
movie. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Jackass came out that year, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says about Jackass. That I really enjoyed the first 2 or 3 of those movies. Like,
That's a fun
Um,
one.
yeah,
Fun.
it's a goofy ass movie just to sit around and laugh at.
Yeah.
I guess another honorable mention would probably be. I'm trying to figure out if I want to put this as an honorable mention or in the top fucking 3, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'll just save it. So Signs would be another honorable mention of mine.
Hmm.
That was never my favorite Shyamalan movie. If I'm being completely honest, like a
Right.
lot of people love that movie, and I thought it was fine, but I just did not. I don't know. I didn't get on the hype train
Mhm.
for fucking Signs as much as like some of the other ones that came out. You know, his
Mhm.
first 3 or 4 films. I don't know what the disconnect was. Maybe it was because it was more of like a PG-ish 13 kind of movie with
Mhm.
like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it was about that movie, but I liked it, but it wouldn't be in my top 3.
Is your favorite of his Unbreakable?
Yeah, I still think to this day is probably Unbreakable.
Was it maybe the ending? The swing
Of
away and signs like aliens went to a planet of water and apparently waters their acid.
I
It was a bit weird.
I'm not
Swing
sure what
away.
I'm not sure what it was about that movie. It just never really thoroughly connected with me. I mean,
Yeah.
I like The Sixth Sense, fine, but it's like The Sixth Sense is one of those movies you can never like. Once you know what it is, you can never really go back and watch that movie and enjoy it because
I,
it's just
I agree.
it just takes everything out of the movie. Like once you know the twist,
Yeah.
and then let's see, what did he make after that? Signs next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After Unbreakable
Okay.
Signs.
Okay, so and
And then The
Village.
Village.
Fuck The Village. No. And then of course Trapped here. That's one of my favorites recently. It's a great movie. Anyway, my number 3 pick of 2002, and Rambo will hate this with a passion, but it is what it is. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. Red Dragon. I sincerely like this movie, man.
Same.
Like I love Ray Fiennes in that movie. I love Ed Norton in that movie. I think whoever the woman is that plays the blind lady does a great job. Like I don't know who that is, but like I've seen her in other things. She does an amazing job. It's got some really good like Anthony Hopkins scenes in it as well. Not as good as like Silence of the Lambs, but still in the same kind of category. And I always thought the opening and the ending of that movie was great.
Mm-hmm.
Just top
Better
notch.
than Hannibal for you?
Oh fuck, 100%. Like
Okay.
better than Hannibal. I can't stand Hannibal. Gary Oldman and all that fucking makeup getting eaten by pigs and shit, and then Ray Liotta's goofy ass, like with the head cut off. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I agree. I never liked his wrestling. Fuck Hannibal.
Yes, fuck Hannibal the guy, and also fuck Hannibal the movie. And also, while we're talking about it, fuck Michael Mann.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But it makes sense. I mean, if you're not big on Manhunter, it would make sense you like Red Dragon more because it's the same story, but you like the way it was done better there. For me, I just like Manhunter more. But again, that it made sense. Again, if you're not big on Manhunter, maybe you like the idea of the story, so you like Red Dragon more. So that's fine.
Yes.
It made sense. I wouldn't say that, Cara. We agree to disagree. I wouldn't. I would say.
Oh my God.
I would say that.
What I would say to that card is Manhunter is for people who like to watch slow ass fucking movies. Is what I would say to that.
It must be a reception for me. Usually,
I'm in the middle. I like both of them. So
and Venom as
But
well.
that's what I got. And also, I just want to take this time really quickly to say that Michael Mann is severely fucking overrated. And I just want you to know that from the bottom of my heart, Carter.
Did you actually watch The Keep?
No, I still have that movie and I still haven't fucking watched it.
Good luck with that.
Well, I mean, fuck, man. Every movie I've ever watched, that guy's been 3 hours long and slow as fuck. So I don't expect that to be really any different.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think you're gonna like it.
At a glacial pace of a movie, if I want to, really get into it. I fucking. I don't know.
Where are we at?
Number 3, Mark.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, number 3 was Red Dragon for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Some honorable mentions. I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan. I don't really ever see the hype why he's so well regarded. I mean, he's a solid filmmaker and all, but a bit overrated in my opinion, just a bit. 25th Hour, however, is a very solid flick, and Norton as the lead, Brian Cox, Rosario Dawson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, all shine in that movie. And it's such a simple premise. If you haven't seen it, it's about Norton going to prison.
You saw it. You saw it the same time I did, Rambo.
I was wondering, like, what
Yeah, I see it. I'm not gonna repeat that.
No, it's best if we don't.
Yeah. So anyway, Norton's going to prison, and it's going to be for a lengthy amount of time. So he's just trying to get prepared for his stint in prison. I'm just gonna have to like turn off the chat.
Yeah, it's not working out for either one of us right now, Mark. Fuck.
Anyway, 25th Hour. I got to move a little faster. We're already an hour and 50 minutes. Paid in Full stars Mekhi Phifer and Wood Harris, and is your basic crack epidemics type story from cocaine to crack, the boom of it from the mid to late 80s going into the early 90s. And Wood Harris would go on to play a similar type of drug kingpin character in the show The Wire, which was only a few years later. And that's also a great show. Idris Elba and a very young Michael B. Jordan. So yeah, Paid in Full is kind of like an alternative watch to New Jack City. Like it's sort of the same kind of premise, except for it only operates on the side of the criminals and not the police. So that's one. And then Better Luck Tomorrow is another honorable mention. That one is directed by Justin Lin. The characters in that actually show up in the Fast and the Furious movies and become mainstays. It was his independent flick that he did, and I want to say it got some notoriety when it came out, but it was never like a huge like movie. But the performances stand out. It is your basic criminal activity type movie amongst friends. It's straight drama and crime, but it's fun, well acted. And my number 3, this almost was number 2, but Blade 2 is just Guillermo del Toro having a ton of fun with some really, really good practical effects when they do show up. And I think Snipes was in perfect form in this one. The story itself, the whole Reaper thing, although not a big thing from a comics. If I don't think it was in there at all, actually, but I just enjoy that whole storyline of where Blade's siding with vampires and fighting a sort of a bigger deal that comes along that could potentially make everybody extinct. So yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Now that I think about it, like the first couple of Blade movies might be some of the only like comic book movies I really like. Like it's in there with like only like maybe 5 or 6 other movies like that I really enjoy that are comic book adaptation. But yeah, the second Blade movie to me is better than the first one, and like one of the best action films of that time period. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a great blend of horror and action. Really cool fight scenes, some great shootout sequences. Ron Perlman is great in that. Such a fun asshole character. Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 3, Blade 2.
Well, for honorable mentions, Mothman Prophecies, saw in the theater. One of the few Richard Gere films I liked. I like the story, like the idea of the Mothman. I like the stylized direction of the film. So again, saw in the theater, didn't mind that one. Collateral Damage, Arnold film that I actually do like.
Sorry.
Collateral Damage, I'll do some fucking collateral damage. The First Transporter. Pretty much the same reason why I like the Beekeeper and those movies. That's why I like the Transporter. Just simple story. And this is more Statham in his prime, kicking ass, taking names. Fun.
Corey Ewan as well.
Saw in the theater. Thought that was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other honorable mention is Kung Pao Enter the Fist, which I think is absolutely hilarious. For those who don't know, the guy took an old Kung Fu movie and then spliced footage of him and other stuff in it. So it's like all this old footage mixed in with his. And there's some hilarious stuff, like the dubbing and what he's making, like these characters from the 70s Kung Fu say. Like this guy's like, my nipples look like milk duds. And the girl, she just keeps saying, woo wee, wee wee, wee wee, wee. But just like he didn't know what she was supposed to be saying, so he just puts all this nonsense like wee 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 wee.
All I remember is the scene with the cow.
Yeah, they rip off the Matrix because everything had to rip off the Matrix.
Yeah.
Even the very beginning where the babies is the one, so a woman picks it up. Oh, very cute baby. That just goes over and just dumps the baby. And just have the baby rolling, and the baby going, baby rolling down the fucking mountain. It's silly, it's goofy, but man, it did make me laugh. I don't think it even has a Blu-ray, sadly, but that was a very funny film for me, at least. But number 3, Equilibrium, Christian Bale film. It's this story you've seen before, like 1984, a future where emotion is pretty much outlawed. Art, they want to control your emotions. They want this type of dystopia. So Christian Bale is an enforcer that goes in to stop the rebels, but then one thing leads to another. He stops taking his meds. He starts learning about his emotions. I thought Christian Bale did a wonderful job. And I thought that for a smaller budget, there's some really interesting action sequences because the director made a different style. I think he labeled it as gun fu. So I imagine like the guns are like projections of your arms. It just made for different type of action scenes. There's even a bit where he takes the butt of his guns and he's specialized them where there's metal studs, and he's the way he's beating them up and smashing through the helmets, and the way he's using the sword, and they did very well done action sequences. And yeah, this is a story I'm a sucker for. Again, not an original story, but a story that's worth telling. And again, I thought Christian Bale did a very wonderful job in that. So
that was my next one.
Really? That was your number 2?
Yeah, I love the movie. You were talking about the fighting style, the whole gun kata thing I thought was really interesting. And then you were talking about what do they call them in the movie? Sense offenders or something like that. Like, because you're not supposed
Something
to
like
feel. Yeah, you're not supposed to feel, or basically you're like a mindless
Drone.
droid. Yeah, basically. Which isn't, too far off for how things are today. You got, there's one,
Yeah.
sort of one way you're supposed to be, and then you can't have any opinions of your own, and you got to like the same thing everybody else likes. And
Gotta like Michael Mann, or fucking people get upset at you. Buddy, fuck Michael Mann. Fuck, he might likes him too. How about that? Sorry, I'm still hung up on that. Apologize.
But yeah, another standout performance from Christian Bale. Yeah, it's really, really good. So sorry, I kind of stole that from you, Rambo, but go ahead.
No, I was finished, so it's to Uncle Bill's number 2.
Yeah.
My number 2 is a movie that almost everybody has forgotten at this point, I think, but was great. And that is Robin Williams' 1 Hour Photo.
Very good.
I have that on here as an honorable mention, and I haven't seen that since it came out, but I remember quite a few scenes from it. And I got to watch that again.
Well, the weird thing is that you don't even think it's Robin Williams. Like, it's one of those performances where they changed his look enough and he acts completely subdued to the point where you don't even like see him in that role. He plays Sai. I remember the name for some reason because it's such a weird name, but it's been a long time since I've seen it too, but I remember being completely blown away when we saw it in the theater. And it's he's a photo developer back when that actually fucking existed.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It's not occupation anymore. Yeah.
No. And he gets obsessed with this one particular family, and like he's developing all their films. And then he eventually finds out, like, I think the dad is the one that's having an affair. Mm-hmm. That kind of like throws him into this spiral because he always idealized this family as being some sort of like perfect family. And so like he goes and tries to get the dad in all kinds of trouble and shit, and sends pictures to, the wife and stuff, and just descends into more and more kind of a stalkerish, kind of obsessive and he's just so great in it that you forget that he could pull off like roles like that. Like, he could pull off dramatic stuff and not be the fucking Mrs. Doubtfire, 1,000 ad libs in a minute guy.
Right.
And somebody mentioned Insomnia too. Like, he was great in Insomnia as well.
Yeah,
I thought. Mm-hmm. But this movie is the one for me that I was like really blown away by. And the ending is really good too. Yeah. So I put that one as my number 2.
Good one.
Well, I kind of gave my number 2, so we just go around again.
So I guess I'll just give my number 1 then.
Yeah.
No, I didn't give my number 2. Never mind. Yeah, Blade 2.
Oh, okay.
Which you had as number 3.
Yeah.
So Blade 2, I really enjoyed for the reasons you said. Wesley Snipes was great. Chris Christopherson, it was nice to see him brought back. I loved his one-liners, like especially against Ron Perlman. Some of us can't see in the dark. You fucking nipplehead.
The cunt hairline is fantastic.
Yeah, very rare. But like you said, the Reapers, Guillermo del Toro, it's kind of like what Tim Burton did with Batman Returns, where he made it his own movie. Del Toro, there's not a whole lot of his films I like. I like Mimic. I don't mind Hellboy 1 and 2, but like his other stuff, like Pan's Labyrinth, I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into, I forget what the other stuff was, but this one,
Pacific
Rim. Yeah, no.
Bunch of bullshit. That's what it is.
Nah.
People could swing off his dick too, like they do with Michael Mann. I don't give a fuck. I hate both of them.
You don't like Crimson Peak?
Well,
I didn't
Shut the fuck up, Mark. Crimson Peak. No, but somebody asked this earlier. I do think this is his best film. I think Blade 2 is, honest to God, like Del Toro's best film. Like, I know people fucking shit their pants, but like, that's just my opinion. There's not many of his films that I'm like blown away by, but.
Well, I mean, on the commentary, he said like he's glad that he got to do it, and he was so put off from Hollywood and the studio system after what happened on Mimic that, you know, he was glad that he could just actually have fun on a movie set again. And, you know, he got along really, really well with Wesley, which you can hear on the commentary. Their banter back and forth is just fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad if somebody said that that was his best. I mean, it's one of my top 3 for him. So,
Yeah, it's my favorite of his, and Mimic is my second favorite of his. But yeah, Blade 2, the action scenes are great. Even, what was his name? Who played Daryl? Walking Dead? He's in
Norman Reedus?
Norman Jeebus. Yeah.
Yeah. And he just did get blown up, if you want to see that.
Right.
But yeah, the makeup effects, the more monster, horror, gore movie, it goes in that direction. And the fight scenes. I mean, even just doing suplexes on people and stuff is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, Blade 2 is just a lot of fun. So that's my number 2. So I guess you're number 1.
That just leaves my number 1, I guess, which is Halloween Resurrection.
Okay.
Look a little crispy over there, Mikey, you motherfucker.
Stole my number 1.
May he never rest in peace. Piece of shit.
Treat motherfucker.
Baggy ass overall wearing motherfucker that likes to kill. What does he say? He said something like that.
You like shark.
Baggy ass overall motherfucker. Yeah, that's it. Like,
Yeah,
like
Michael
shark,
Myers is a
baggy
killer
ass
shark.
overall. Yeah. Fucking Buster. What's he doing in that fucking movie, man?
Chewing the
he doing?
scenery beautifully is what he's doing.
Oh, God. Anyway, that's not seriously my number 1, but it almost kind of is.
I wish it was.
Oh, so my number 1 of that year is one you've already mentioned, Rambo, but like it's huge around here, and I think the mythology of it is probably why it's like so kind of like ingrained in me to like it, is because like I've been to the spot and like it's a big kind of thing right here, which is my number 1 is definitely the Mothman Prophecies, because I think it's probably one of the most underrated movies ever, but also one of the most underrated movies from that year by far. It's incredibly creepy, incredibly well paced. Everybody in that movie gets a solid performance. Even Richard Gere's gerbil of an ass does a great job in there. Literally gerbil of an ass. So it's like, and there's so many scenes in it that still this day creep me out. It's almost like a David Lynch film in a fucking way. Like there's several scenes in it where you're like, what? Like the scene where he's in the hotel room and he answers the phone. It's just a bunch of clicks and like noises and stuff like that. And then he starts to have like the visions and stuff like.
Yeah.
Such a wild series of scenes that kind of set that up. And he feels like he's losing his mind. And then he goes to everybody's house that's in the neighborhood, which is a real neighborhood. Like I said, I've been there, and like I'm not positive they ever shot anything there for real, but like yeah, he goes to the people's houses and they're all kind of explaining the shit that's happened before this tragedy that's getting ready to happen, which they're all visited by this kind of like Mothman character who essentially, you know, the thought was trying to warn everybody that something like that was going to happen, but nobody picks up on it because they're too busy shitting their pants. So,
I mean, if you think about it, it has kind of an X-Files feel to it.
It does.
It does.
It really does.
It definitely
Yeah.
does.
Especially when I forget her name, Laura Linney comes into play.
Yeah.
And a little bit like Mulder and Scully with the two of them investigating.
Yep.
And then just like Mulder's looking for his sister, he's looking for what happened to his wife and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always thought. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I always just thought that was. I don't know why that movie wasn't bigger. Maybe because it was so kind of specialized to that case that it didn't, really grab national attention the way that it should have, or got over the way it should have as a movie. But
Oh, I could tell you why. Because when I was in the theater with the other kids, they were annoying as fuck. Said, "This is boring,"
oh
and it's like
well,
I got so annoyed, so I had to enjoy the movie at home because they wouldn't shut the fuck up, and I wanted to beat the fuck out of them because they wouldn't like, "This is boring. What was that Sandler?"
we're somebody scream, "Where's Adam Sandler?" That'd be killer.
They might as well because it was like a school trip, and
where the fuck is it?
people in my school they only talk about movies if it was fucking Adam Sandler.
Thought Carrot Top was in this.
This ain't Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
But honorable
Yeah.
mention though to Busta Rhymes' Halloween Resurrection.
Have you ever done a video talking about your experience going to the place of the Mothman?
I don't think so. No.
Did you ever take any pictures or video?
Oh yeah, I've got a ton of pictures from there, like
Cool.
all kinds of different stuff. The bridge, or the supposed, where they've got like a huge statue of the Mothman now up there.
Right. I've seen that. Yeah.
The
Doesn't it
the
have like red
tavern-
eyes on it?
yeah. It's like a metallic silver
Yeah.
huge
Oh.
statue with like red eyes. That
And
we
where-
stayed at the hotel there. That was all that shit was supposed to have happened at, with the crazy stuff and a lot of that stuff. There's like a giant old motel that's there.
And where was that location?
It's in
Point
West
Pleasant.
Virginia, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Yep.
West Virginia. Okay.
It's not very far from here, and it's like a incredibly small town, like smaller than where we are. Yeah, I mean, you literally can drive through it in like 30 seconds and not know,
Okay. Very cool.
There's so much going on in the chat. Do you want to jump in there real quick?
Let's see. I don't know where the fuck to start now. Sorry, Norma Reba McIntyre. It's just fucking shit like that. What's up, Matthew Hoare? Okay. Honorable mentions: the comedy mentions The Hot Chick, The New Guy, and Orange County. I like The New Guy. The whole Mothman legend is cool. There's really cool hidden shit, and the Mothman probably in the background. Yep.
They just did another story on that on the Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to check it out. It's been spotted here in Illinois now, which
it's making its way.
it's a little troublesome.
Making its way north.
It's a little too close to home.
Migrating.
Didn't someone say they just thought it was like a big owl?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been anything in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's several theories about what it could have been, possibly.
I like to think it was a giant moth-like creature that predicts the future, but
Maybe it's Michael Mann.
yeah, giant piece of shit director that just slows everything down, slows down time and space.
I was waiting for that. That's why I brought up. I was waiting for it.
Could be an interdimensional demon.
Could be.
Well, if he says so, of course.
Radhammer says the actual Mothman looked like the red monster from Looney Tunes or a barn owl. Yeah. Ain't nothing scarier than a big ass barn owl, though, if you've never seen one. Top 3 favorites from 2002: Minority Report, which I completely forgot about, Spider-Man, and Signs. Yep. Honorable mentions there.
Cool.
Uncle Bill, Internal Affairs, Andy Lau film.
the basis for The Departed.
I'll be damned, boys.
Mhm.
Paycheck with Ben Affleck.
That was the
One I forgot
2003.
about.
It was 2003. So
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is the most underrated movie of the year. I disagree, sir. I believe it's The Mothman Prophecies, but it's just me.
I've never seen that one.
Road to Perdition. I saw that one at a fucking drive-in.
Oh yeah,
That's the weirdest part about that movie to me. I don't know, like, it's such an odd movie to see in a drive-in, but I did. That was the last time that drive-in was open too. Was around that time.
damn.
Mhm.
Yep. Minority Report and Spider-Man.
Yeah, those are my number one.
All right.
It's kind of split on those two.
Where
It's-
we at?
yeah.
I have no idea.
It's number one for me, and I'm split on either Spider-Man or Minority Report. I can't really choose one. I saw both of those in the theater back when they came out and had fun with both. I'm not surprised Minority Report didn't make your list, Uncle Bill. So,
Well, I mean, you don't really want to get into that, Mark. We'll go down that road.
You didn't even pick Donnie Darko. What the hell's going on?
I don't like Donnie Darko. Fuck that shit.
What was your number one, Mark?
I said it was hard to pick between. It's either Spider-Man or Minority
Oh,
Report.
for fuck's sake, Mark, pick one.
I can't.
He's not gonna pick. He's just gonna be like,
so tough. I guess maybe Spider-Man. I guess I'll just go with that.
all right. I'm disappointed in you, but all right.
Well, you're going to be disappointed either way because I picked Minority Report.
That's
Tom
true.
Cruise.
I'll be honest with you. Like between Tobey Maguire and Tom Cruise, I don't know who I'd rather kill. So either one's fine.
But yeah, both to me are pretty fun movies. The one thing I will say at least stands out about Spider-Man, because there's a million comic book movies these days, is that at least the first one, or I guess all three in a way, still have their own style and their own look. I mean, a lot of the Marvel stuff that comes out now, the mass majority of it kind of all comes out of the same
It looks exactly
AI feed. Yeah, it's just there's nothing separating one from the other. The individuality of a lot of those films are kind of lost in translation, if you will. And at least those movies have their own look and their own style, whether you love them or hate them. And yeah, I don't need to talk about Spider-Man though. It's a fun movie.
Thank God.
Oh, don't get me started on the ones you like. The franchise so good that they had to stop it because everybody hated it. But go ahead.
Oh, because Spider-Man 3 was so good.
Hey, it made more money than the ones you like, so I'll just say that.
Wait, which one does he like?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and that.
Into the Spider-Verse, the ones that are like the most beloved, those animated ones. You mean like those?
Well, I was talking about live action, but sure. I mean, those are good, but I ain't gonna give you Amazing Spider-Man 2. That movie's terrible.
What?
To be and not to be Maguire.
Oh,
It's so good.
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, I get them all confused. They're all kind of bullshit.
You got a point. Willem Dafoe looking like a fucking Power Ranger stuck up his ass.
That's funny because that's how all the villains in that one look too. They all look terrible.
Yeah.
He does kind of look like it. Yeah, never mind. Now that I think about it,
Like a Power Ranger villain. But my number one is a film I do quite like. I've always enjoyed this. I think it's underrated. Marco and I actually watched this not too long ago on our own. I See You, also known as Detox.
It was in my top 5, but I got to do 3.
And
So it's just,
well, we're fucking so sorry. Damn.
I love the movie though. Like especially the cut that Rambo did is fantastic.
but you didn't mention
really
it in honorable mentions.
I know, but it was because of time, and then I got so many honorable mentions. So,
But yeah,
and I figured you'd have it in your top 3.
But I'm a big fan of Stallone. I love the cast: Chris Christopherson, Charles Dutton, that is, Robert Patrick. Just a lot of great people in the cast. And like Mark said, I did get the edition from overseas, which is a new cut of the film, which is a better cut. And then I did a little few touches, so I made my own fan cut. So that's the version I watch. Simple story. It's a serial killer movie with Sylvester Stallone. The woman he loved passed away. He goes on a drunken binge. He wants to unalive himself. Does so. Gets put into a detox in the middle of nowhere. And the atmosphere has a little bit of John Carpenter's The Thing vibe. The paranoia of you don't know who the killer is. The cast does a great job. It's easily one of Stallone's most underrated performances. It's very emotional. It's very heartfelt. You can't see the word on YouTube, but unalivable, since you can't see the other word.
That's sad that we've gotten to that point, but yeah,
just YouTube, you know. But yeah, I just always wanted to see Stallone do a horror movie, and that's the closest he ever got to be. And I enjoyed the music of the film. And yeah, it's from the director who did Know What He Did Last Summer, but I do think it's his best movie. And I would say if anyone's never seen it, it's definitely worth a look if you like the actors involved. And yeah, just a great cast. You had Tom Berenger in the film. You got Stephen Lane in the film. Hell of a cast. And again, this cool horror thriller. I wouldn't call it a slasher, but horror thriller set in the snow, middle of nowhere. I love the location, the atmosphere. So yeah, ICU. Detox is a bit of a better title, but that's my number one.
It just, the thing is, it's like after seeing the other cut that we watched, like it's a completely different film. So anybody that like in the chat is probably thinking about it, they only know it from that one cut that's available. Well, I guess the detox cut is on the MVD one, but it's not as long. And it just, the other cut that we watched, it fills in so many gaps, and there's so much more character minutia and just all sorts of stuff that's missing, and it's a much better film that way.
And it's re-edited to a flashback style, so instead of being linear and giving you all the details from the get-go,
right,
it gives you a little bit of the present, and then throughout it unfolds and lets the film breathe, and it is a better cut of the film. So again, watching it, had great fun watching with Mark.
Yeah.
And if you want Mark, remember me, I did do another cut where I put in the one moment you liked, where Stone's like, "It's him." I did put that back in for you, so I'll make sure to send you a copy on Instagram.
Yeah, I did. One thing I did notice it was missing.
I put that back in just for you. So
nice.
But yeah, ICU, aka Detox, is my number one favorite of that year.
All right, so we're at 2003. Some bitch. If we don't hurry up.
Yeah,
we're
this
never
next series of movies. Listen, we're not fucking around with the rest of these. We're just gonna go through them now. God damn it, let's go.
Europe.
All right, 2003. Hold on, let me see what I got. Motherfucking shit. No matter what we do, these shows are always 3.5 hours long.
I know.
All right. Honorable mentions in 2003 of mine. There's a lot of decent movies, a lot of good movies in 2003. I'm going to go with Old School, which is one of my favorite comedies. As an honorable mention. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with House of a Thousand Corpses, even though it came out in 2003. It was made in like 1999 or something crazy. Just nobody would release it. I still think the beginning half of that movie is like some of the best stuff that came out around that time. Best horror stuff that came out. Now the movie is complete bullshit once it gets past the first half, but like that first half is worth it. Mm-hmm. Wonderland. Do you guys remember Wonderland? The
That's my honorable mention. Oh yeah,
yeah,
Val Kilmer.
Val
I
Kilmer
didn't see that one.
plays John Holmes. Yeah,
Oh, Rambo, you got to check that one out.
yeah, that's a crazy ass movie, but it's
Very
great.
underrated.
Cool.
So I guess those will be my honorable mentions. So if I was going to pick a number 3 from that year, it would probably be, and I saw this movie in the theater and like really, really enjoyed it. Identity. If you remember that one, that's the John Cusack,
Ray Liotta. Yeah.
Ray Liotta movie where it's basically like it's a murder mystery kind of movie with a twist, of course, at the end of it. And you either love that twist or you fucking hate that twist. And most people hate the twist. But I always loved that guy because he was in the X-Files too. I'll never think of his name, but you know the guy I'm thinking of whose eyes did he had the weird condition where his eyes like went back and forth. And he always looked like super insane. And as the movie unfolds and everything, I always love
Pruitt Taylor Vince.
Is his name?
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Cusack, that's what I call him for real. But I love the way it kind of played out like a Clue board game or something where you were trying to figure out like who done it, and then each person had their own kind of demise throughout the movie and had their own kind of set piece and how they were killed and everything. I just love that movie. I always have. So that's my pick for 3.
Cool. How about you, Mark?
Nice. So honorable mention, you already mentioned Wonderland, which is based on the John Holmes stuff. And then it's a series of murders that took place around that time as well. You could see a little bit of that also done at the end of Boogie Nights with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I guess, partly inspired by in some ways. Another honorable mention would be Monster, Charlize Theron, Christina Ricci.
I should have put that in there too, but I didn't. But you're right.
Yeah, based on the life of the serial killer Eileen Wuornos. Just a well-acted movie. You even get a Kane Hodder appearance in there as well towards the end. And you mentioned Identity, but that was an honorable mention too. I always had fun with that one. That was James Mangold, I believe. Thought it was pretty well done, and going into that, I had no idea, so that was a nice surprise. And then my number 3, I have, and this might be a controversial one for some, but Matrix Reloaded. And I was kind of on the fence with even putting that in the top 5 for a couple of different reasons. So there's quite a few that I like this year, but I'd have to put it in there. I think it's a fun sequel. I don't agree with a lot of people talking about how the mythology is ruined because of the second one or anything. I like knowing a lot of the existential information that you do get with that movie. Of course, some fun action sequences, fight choreography, all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a killer sequel. Probably the best sequel in the franchise, if I'm just going to be all the way honest.
That's your number 3?
Yeah.
So honorable mentions, I'm going to go through these real quick. Wrong Turn, saw in the theater, liked it.
Yep.
Final Destination 2, that was a fun sequel. The last to be good one. I do like Matrix Reloaded. I like Paycheck I love actual Paychecks, but I also like Paycheck with Ben Affleck. John Woo film. I like the story. I like the idea behind the film. Darkness Falls, I saw in the theater. That was a fun, very short movie about the Tooth Fairy. But Darkness Falls, I don't know. I just like the story with that. Kill Bill, The Hunted from 2003 with Tommy Lee Jones. But my number 3, I'm going to put Daredevil, the director's cut.
I did not see that coming. I did not 100% see that coming.
I never minded Ben Affleck, but maybe because I liked him. It was in the Kevin Smith films I first saw him in. So I really enjoyed those. So Ben Affleck always appealed to me. But yeah, I liked him in Paycheck I mentioned there. But Daredevil, I didn't know much about the character in the comics, but I saw the film and I liked it more than the Spider-Man movies. I liked, especially the director's cut, which is more R-rated. I thought the action scenes felt a bit tighter, felt a little bit more violent for what they could get away with. Michael Clark Duncan, I thought he was big, intimidating, and vicious as a kingpin. Colin Farrell was a lot of fun. I mean, I can't hate a movie when he kills a granny with a peanut. Just flicks it and makes her choke on it.
That scene.
And not only that, but he's like making fun of her as he's dying, like you'll die. And yeah, the fight scenes are well done. Ben Affleck and John Favreau. John Favreau was a lot of fun in that as the sidekick Foddy. I'm not a big Jennifer Garner fan, so what I like about the director's cut is less about the love story, it's more about him being a lawyer. And that's why I make it a point that's the director's cut I'm talking about, where they re-edit it so it's less the love story, which I thought was the weakest part, is more about him being a hero and yet being a lawyer at the same time, which I thought was the more interesting part of his character. So yeah, Daredevil director's cut is number 3 for me. Saw it in the theater, enjoyed the theatrical cut. Thought the director's cut is even better version of the film.
I would actually agree with that. I don't love the director's cut, but I mean, it's the best that we've gotten for the character. I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot else to choose from other than the show, maybe. But movie wise, it's got its weak points, but I don't mind it that much.
For some reason, this year's incredibly hard for me to figure out what movie I want to put at number 1. There's like 3 movies I could conceivably put at number 1, but
yeah,
I'm just like
here.
struggling with this year. But I'll go ahead and say then that my number 2 of 2003 would probably be Fuck. Not actually Fuck, but
Great movie.
solid cast. This is impossible, man.
Underworld.
Yeah, as you know,
Oh, I'm sure.
Underworld.
I'm sure.
I got to, man. I just think people hate the ending of this movie, but I just was blown away by this fucking movie when it came out. And let me make sure. I'm pretty sure it came out in fucking 2003, but I mean, if we're talking about shit that I actually watch on like a regular basis and think is outstanding, then I'm pretty sure I saw this movie that year on the theater. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's American Pie 3 Kingslayer.
So my number 2 is going to be High Tension then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People go on and on and on about the ending of the movie and everything. I really don't give a fuck about endings like that, to be honest with you. I never have. It's kind of a tack on ending, to be honest, but it doesn't like negate the fact that the whole like 90 minutes previous to that is amazing. And we went in like completely cold and saw that movie in a theater around here, and I was just like, what in the fuck? Like, you guys, like, I couldn't believe they would even get a movie like that around here at that time period, especially. And you know, to see that on a big screen, having no idea what it was about, and the 2 leads in that movie are insanely good. And never really heard anything else from them, but especially the main lead, I think her name is Cecilia de France or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's outstanding, and you don't really know what the hell is going on in that movie until the main end. And Alexander Aja, that was his first kind of like breakthrough on the scene kind of role. I love the gore in it. I love the atmosphere of it. I love the tension of it, you know, not to be, but like when the shit really starts going down, I love the fact that movie doesn't pull any punches whatsoever. And like, I mean, something about the way that it's made is also very giallo-ish and takes you back to that time period of Italian films that were made like that too.
What's funny, you mentioned that lead. The other time I saw her was a year later. She did that Jackie Chan film Around the World in 80 Days, where it's like she joins Jackie Chan, the other guy going across. It was like a Disney movie. So
Yeah,
it's funny. She went from High Tension to a Disney movie a year later.
makes sense. It's also a movie in High Tension where she like masturbates like in a bed.
That's
Like,
right. I imagine like someone at Disney watching that film and watching a scene like that and be like, we need her.
um,
She masturbated with the head or something.
well, was that girl? Was that chick's name Kathleen Kennedy? She could really be into that.
She wasn't there yet.
Did you hear that
But,
shit
yeah.
about her possibly retiring? By the way, and then she got mad because they leaked it. Now she won't retire. I thought that was so killer. Anyway,
No.
it's a side note.
Yeah, I
for
heard
another day.
that. That's bullshit. Fuck.
Yeah.
So
Wait, High Tension. That was it released first, like in the UK or whatever?
I don't know. I just looked up the release date, and
Yeah,
I'm sure it probably was released in Europe first before it was released here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2003.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, under the much better title of Switchblade Romance.
Yeah.
So honorable mentions, and Jackson Jack. I actually did have that on the list as an honorable mention. You know me, apparently. He had 13 up there. I did have that here. The Catherine Hardwicke film, which I believe was her first movie. And she would go on to do Lords of Dogtown, which I like quite a bit. It's a skater movie. But yeah, anyway, getting sidetracked. We're doing number 2, right?
Number 2.
Yeah, okay. Number 2, much like for you, Uncle Bill, this is pretty tough. I mean, it could go either way, but I'll put Kill Bill Volume 1 as number 2.
Yep.
For all the obvious reasons, not something that like you had ever seen before or since, really. Blending the anime stuff in there, making that sort of a Hong Kong style movie in American, with the mixture of American culture and American cinemas, and with the actors that are used. I never thought I'd see Vivica Fox do a fight scene with Uma Thurman.
No.
But yeah, some cool characters, people like Michael Madsen and whatnot. Just fun all around. The music, the style. I mean, it's Tarantino. You know what you're paying for when you go see a Tarantino movie. So yeah, that's my number 2.
My number 2 is Bad Santa. These very funny.
Oh shit! I forgot that movie came out. I completely forgot that one. It's a great movie.
Yeah, one of my favorite Christmas films. One of my favorite Billy Bob Thornton performances. Even though it's very foul-mouthed, even though it's very un-PC, still has really a nice heart to it between him and the kid. And just there's so many outbursts. And not only that, but it was great to see John Ritter and Bernie Mac is before they passed away. So rest in peace to both of them, but they were great in it. And yeah, Billy Bob Thornton, just so many outbursts that made me laugh. I still remember the bit where the kid is playing with checkers and he's not sure. And then all of a sudden he beats him. He's like, "You lousy fucking shit." You sit there like the deadlights are on.
Something I love about that movie, though, Rambo, is the fact that it never goes down the typical, like, he never has a redemption arc in it, really. It doesn't go down the typical way that you would think it would. He's never really nice to that kid up until the very end when but he still feels sorry for him, but he still talks to him like shit throughout the whole movie. Like, he's just like perplexed by like how he can be that big of a loser. And like, I don't know, something about that is just still this day hilarious to me that because most of the time in a movie like that, the character would like, the kid would redeem him and he would, there'd be this big sappy ending, and that's just not the way that it goes down that movie at all.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, like you said, up till the end, the dialogue is still like when he's narrating. I guess he's in the hospital, and then I think the kid like kissed the boy in the nuts and runs away with the middle finger, and you have like a music that kind of like Bad News Bears type of music. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, very funny movie. Watched that, I think maybe last Christmas. Still made me laugh a lot. And
Mhm.
the sequel was god awful in my opinion.
I was
but
going to mention that. You said you weren't a fan of it. You didn't like Kathy Bates in it?
no, pretty much like trying to be like how she was in The Water Boy, and it was just really just the same movie,
Yeah.
but done
Yeah,
worse.
pretty much.
And then the kid being an adult and acting like that was just more creepy and sad than funny. Like him being an adult and acting the same way, just that worked better because he was a kid and he was like naive and innocent. And the fact that whatever Billy yelled at him, it didn't like affect him, but that kind of made it funnier and more easy like to deal with as a viewer. But my number 2 is Bad Santa. Very fun. One of my favorite Christmas movies. Love it.
So I'm going to do this because Mark, you already picked my number 1. Well, you picked one of the ones that I was like thinking about trying to
Kill-
interchange. So I'm going to
Kill
pick
Bill?
Kill Bill.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick the other one that I would have picked for number 1 had that not been the one, and that would be Old Boy. That Old Boy is one of the
I forgot.
first movies that like one of the first Asian films that I saw that I was completely blown away by in terms of like psychological horror kind of thriller movie like that. I mean, I'd seen martial arts movies and shit like that up to that point, but never really gotten into that style of like Asian cinema. That's the first one that really like hit me in a way like that. Like, you know, Fulci's films for Italian or Argento's films for Italian. This was the one where I watched it and I was kind of blown away by Park Chan-wook. And it's just the setup, him being in prison for all those years, being sedated, not knowing what's going on. And he gets out, he's got to find like, you know, who his captors or killers are and things like that. And then the twist is fucking just batshit crazy. And there's so many scenes along the way too. So a lot of times like a movie will start out good, it'll end well, but the middle slogs it and kind of brings it down. The middle of this film is filled with just like memorable, violent kind of imagery and scenes and stuff with the hammer and all that. And it just overall is one of the best revenge thriller kind of movies that ever came out, Asian or not, regardless. Like, I mean, they remade the fucking thing, and it's got Josh Brolin in it, I think. And
yeah, Spike Lee. Yeah,
it's like, what are you doing?
horrendous. That was terrible.
But yeah, since I can't, well, I could pick that, but you already picked that one, so I'll go with Old Boy.
Have you seen Stoker?
No,
It's another Park Chan-wook film. Came out in 2013. Oh my
I
God.
don't think so, man. At one time or another in the early to mid, 2000, we saw every Asian film because they kept sending all that shit to us. Like, I think we saw every Asian film that came out from 2005 to 2010 at least.
Yeah,
But
do
after
yourself
that,
a favor. Watch Stoker. I think you'll dig it a lot. I mean, if you like Old Boy, it's not like that per se. It's much more of a horror mystery. But there's some incredible cinematography and transitional shots in that are just incredible. I mean, it's such a great looking film. It's only 90 minutes, but there is a bit of a slow burn, at least with the mystery aspect. But I think you'll like it a lot. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's best to go in blind with that one. So where were we with? Was that number
You're
one?
one.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go back to my list. Geez. It's you took Old Boy. I probably would have put that one at number 1. That's such a good one. But I'm gonna go with I guess Mystic River. I'd have to if I had to pick one.
yeah. I think Kevin
Um,
Bacon's amazing in that movie, by the way.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased. You guys know I love bacon, so. And then that's obviously Clint Eastwood's film, but yeah, Sean Penn. God, what's the fucking guy? Tim Robbins,
Mhm.
Marcia Gay Harden. Just an incredible cast.
Mhm.
Love the pacing of that one. I love neo noir films, and the mystery elements of that are really, really good, especially on the first time watch. Yeah, I know it's dark, but that's kind of what I love about it. So yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't get much darker than Tim Robbins' character in that fucking movie, does it?
Yeah. It's so good though. Very skillfully made. I mean, Clint he's still going. God, how old is Clint? Is he like 95 now or
He's
90?
not. Yeah, he's in his like mid-90s.
It's insane.
I just remember watching that movie. What was it? The Mule, and he has like a sex scene. He's like almost. I think he was 90 years old. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, he's gonna die. He's gonna take beta blockers and shit before he can even have a sex scene. Like, there's no.
Right. But yeah, it's a great film, Mystic River, and Jackson Jack. That movie's fun, but I mean, again, we're talking about like the best, or at least our favorites of the year, and I wouldn't put that in my top 5. I like Cradle to the Grave though; it's fun.
So my number one is a film that I saw twice in the theater, and I thought, okay, this director's divisive, but this is his like really his most pure and most insane film, and that's what I like about it. And it's Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys for Life.
No, it's the most Michael Bayism, but man, he just like he doesn't do drugs, but it does feel like he just did a whole shitload of cocaine and just made that film. Because if a movie can take cocaine and PCP, it'd be Bad Boys 2 would be the result of it, because the amount of insanity where the camera work, the way he directs the film, whether it be a shootout where it's an entire 360 element going through the bullet holes, not cutting, or make it seem like it's all one's cut. Just a lot of cool looking shots that really just got my adrenaline pumping. This movie, Will Smith was a simp, and he was worth at least an iota of shit. And Martin Lawrence they worked well together. It did not hold back on the R rating, and there's some insane gore. It's a pretty gory movie for an action film. They're in a morgue and they're looking at bodies, and like one body's brain pops out. There's a car chase, and dead bodies are falling and getting run over, and heads are popping off like Pez dispensers. There's the bad guy, when he gets shot through the head, he blows up because there's these mines, and like it's a horror movie. It just the car chase in that movie is insanely done. The action scenes, it's just such a viscerally insane fun experience on PC. Again, it was just it was pure insanity, and I loved it to the point I saw it twice in the theater. So yeah, Bad Boys 2 would be my favorite Michael Bay film, because that's the kind of film he should just make, not these Transformers and all this other crap. Like that's more his wheelhouse. Just store more cocaine, make some more movies like that. Not Ambulance and other bullshit.
You didn't like Jake Gyllenhaal in that?
No, I did not like that film.
He repeated the shot from Bad Boys 2 with the spinning camera.
That movie was too much, like made me seasick.
Yeah, the way he was moving the camera around, I know what you mean.
That's like if he was Alzheimer's and directed it. It's fucking like this. Jesus Christ. Alzheimer's on speed.
So what are we at now? 2004?
The last
All right,
last year.
here we go. I think we can do it in 3 hours. All right. Honorable mentions go to in 2004 for me anyway. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I love that movie. I think it's a great comedy.
Fun movie.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention would probably go to looking at some of these damn movies. There's a lot of decent movies that came out this year. 2004. I mean, Saw. I'll give honorable mention to that. I'm so sick of hearing anything to do with Saw movies. I'm not putting that in my top anything. So fuck it. You can get honorable mention and just deal with it. Collateral, because we all know Michael Mann is an amazing director. And actually, I'm kind of not bullshitting. That movie is probably like one of the only decent ones I've ever seen. That piece of trash do. And so there's Collateral.
Who's the piece of trash, Tom Cruise or Michael Mann?
God damn, both of them together. It's like a nightmare, but somehow they pulled it off. Dodgeball. I love that movie. Let's see what else we get honorable mention on here. Definitely not that shit. Yeah, $1 Million Baby. I always hated the ending of that movie, but I mean the first half of that movie is really, really good. So I got to give it to him there.
The concept of the ending or the execution of the ending?
Both. Just the idea that's like you sit through a movie that's almost 2.5 hours long and that's the ending. And you're like,
Okay.
so it would be like, here's what it would be like, Rambo. It'd be like if you watched Rocky and at the end, Rocky got hit by a fucking car and was like paralyzed. And then you just like, then Adrian had to smother him out with a goddamn pillow or something. So it kind of,
that's almost how Rocky 5 was going to end.
Yeah. It defeats the feel good nature of the movie, up to that point.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh, God. So, all right, my number 3 would be of the ones that are on here. This is so hard. I'll go with Team America. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I think that's like one of the because we watched it not too long ago too. One of the funniest fucking movies and dead on with like the satire and the parody and shit that they were going for at that time. The fact that it's puppets meant they could get away with like so much shit that you couldn't get away with. Like either way, the fucking who was it? Kim Jong Il at that time, or Kim Jong Un, or one of the Kim Jongs. Yeah, like that was amazing. The whole sex scene thing was amazing. The song was amazing. Several of the songs in that movie were amazing. Like that movie never fails to make me laugh my ass off, like to this day. So I'll pick that as my number 3.
Nice. It's a good movie.
How about you, Mark?
Honorable mentions. One people may not be too familiar with is The Woodsman. You guys seen that film?
I've heard of it. Kevin Bacon's in it as
the lead. He's
P to the E to the D to the O.
Yeah, there you go. He's a child lover, I'll say. So he's gone to
a whole notes song.
Right. He's gone to prison for his crimes. He's out. He's trying to live a normal life, I'll say, and there's a lot of other things around him that could potentially take him back to the dark side. But yeah, he's trying to stay on the straight and narrow, but a very like compelling, and I hate to use the word powerful performance, but he's incredible in that. So that one. Next honorable mention. Well, you already said Collateral. That was going to be one. So I'll just skip that. One with a very good cast is Mindhunters. Saw that in the film. That's a Rennie Harlan film. A bunch of FBI agents go to an island. They're doing like a training exercise, but they end up getting killed off one by one. So it's pretty much kind of a slasher flick without a physical killer around. There's all these traps. May sound like Saw, but it's definitely not. Rambo, I know you're a big fan of that one too. Always have fun with that one. Never Die Alone with David Arquette.
Is that
And
DMX?
yes.
Oh,
I think in the very opening of the film, he's stabbed to death, and David Arquette finds all these tapes, and he starts to recount like his life story, and he was like this drug kingpin, and they sort of tell the story in a non-linear fashion. So it's a really interesting movie. And my number 3. So I got a ton of more honorable mentions. I'll just do one more, and then I'll be quick. Lightning Bug. Rob Hall's Lightning Bug. I know everybody loves Laid to Rest, and they talk about those movies, but Lightning Bug is a very underrated, dramatic film. That's, I mean, he had no money with that, and I think it works for what he's trying to convey. It's loosely based on his life, but you've seen it, right, EB?
Yeah, we saw it when he first was sending around screeners and things for it. We talked to him about it too, and he was talking about how it is based somewhat on his life. And if you see the movie, you know how sad and depressing that is, and then what happened to him and everything. But it is a great movie.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's my favorite Jim Carrey movie, although Truman Show is pretty close.
Yeah.
But just a really enthralling performance by Carrey in the movie. And there's also Elijah Wood. Kirsten Dunst is in there too. I think Mark Ruffalo's in it as well. But yeah, so he's sort of like I guess you could say, hopeless romantic type character who wants to forget about his girlfriend. So he hires these guys that work from a company that like erase memories of your previous relationships and stuff like that. And so over the course of them doing that, like he realizes that he doesn't want to forget about her, but that's the only way he can get over her. So he's sort of fighting the process, and you're sort of in his mind as it all happens, and you see all their best times of them as a couple. But yeah, I really like that one. It's a romance movie, but more so drama in a lot of ways, I would say.
Yeah.
It's not sappy or anything for those that haven't seen it. But yeah, that's my number 3.
So honorable mentions, I'll go by quick. Eternal Sunshine, which you mentioned. Shaun of the Dead, fun movie. Dawn of the Dead remake, pretty solid. Saw it in the theater, although I do like the original more. Suspect Zero had a nice X-Files feel to it with Aaron Eckhart and Carrie-Ann Moss. Enjoyed the story on that one. Cellular, I thought that was a bit underrated, based on a story by Larry Cohen.
It's a really fun movie, very underrated.
Yeah, it's Tim Basinger, Chris Evans, William H. Macy.
Statham as well.
Yeah. And The Punisher, that's my other honorable mention. I prefer the Dolph Lundgren one, but I think the Thomas Jane one's still a lot of fun. Saw that in the theater. But my number 3 is Napoleon Dynamite.
That's funny, because that's actually my number 2, so I might as well just go ahead and say that.
Yeah. I love that film. That film I could watch, and like it's one of those films that it didn't, like, I think it's rated PG, but it kind of fits that realm of these interesting, eccentric characters that, if written the wrong way, could have been very annoying. But here, it works for this small town. I don't know how to put it. Just certain scenes where stillness will create comedy and laughter, and it doesn't have to be a ton of loud noises and tons of dialogue. It's like they'll be standing, the two brothers, and all of a sudden he just slaps them real quickly and leaves. That's like one of the scenes that makes me laugh the most. Like, hey.
Well, I don't think, Rambo, I've ever seen another movie like it before or since. Like, it was one of those movies that came along and it was like completely its own island. Like, I remember watching it and just being like, "What the fuck?" Like almost to the point where I didn't like it because I couldn't figure it. Like it didn't fit in any other like category of anything that I'd seen at that point. And then you watch it over and over again, and eventually, like it's there's just something about it, like where it feels genuine. It's he does as good a job with that character as like Sling Blade, like Billy Bob
Mhm.
Thornton. Like
Yeah.
he's immersed in that character to the point where you can't tell that that's not who that is. That that's not a real person. And everybody, the way that it was filmed, is everybody around it looks like a normal person. So it's not movie theater, like movie star quality esque, and like you know what I mean. So it's just it seems like you're really in this weird town, these weird ass people that are doing all this stuff, and just these eccentric characters. And I've never really experienced a movie like that since.
Exactly. It has a small town feel to it. Like you said, even bits like what was it, the scene where I don't know, like they had this jar with like AIDS or something, like egg yolk.
Yeah, yeah, it's where he goes out to that farm or whatever, I think, and they give him like all that shit, some eggs and everything.
Yeah, and these like sandwiches with flies all over it.
Yeah, it's
And that old guy's talking. I forget what story he's telling, but he's like telling a story about he
yeah,
found
which
he
it's
found
a
something.
real story too. But he like that guy just made that story up or just started talking about it like right there. I can't remember what he's talking about exactly either, but it's great.
But yeah, very fun film. Like you said, very unique, and was able to stand out. So that's my number two. Fun movie, Napoleon Dynamite. I know a lot of people hate it. It's a very divisive film, it seems. But again, I've always been a fan of it.
Yeah, I like it's like I said, it's just a movie that seems it's like I don't know how to explain it, but like certain movies come along and they don't fit into any other thing, and you'll
Kind of has
either
a timeless quality too.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
it's a polarizing movie, I'm sure, because of the way that it is, but like I just feel like it's great.
It is.
Um, my number one is got not going to be a surprise then, since I my number two is Napoleon Dynamite, so my number
Sure.
one is Shaun of the Dead.
Of course.
Look, it may be the best zombie film to come out in the
That's my number
last.
one as well. So
Is it? Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, to me, like maybe the best zombie film to come out since like Day of the Dead or Return of the Living Dead or something like that. Like it was the best example of like blending comedy and horror and gore and all that
Yeah.
shit to me of any of those films. I hated it when I first saw it too. I've said that before, I know, but like I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I didn't know what he was doing. And then I went back and watched it through the years, and it was like it started to click what he was doing and how much effort he
Mhm.
put into making that movie and making everything like synchronized. Like the scene where he basically redoes his day from the day before, but everybody's dead and zombies now, and he's walking through
Yeah.
the to get to the store, and like, but it's all set up exactly the same, except everybody is around him is dead, and it's just he doesn't notice any difference in it, and it's just a great movie.
I mean, there's ton of little like Easter eggs in there as well that like you don't pick up on and they don't feel
Yeah.
forced. Like it's called Fulci's Restaurant in the phone book, and that's like a
Mm,
blink and you'll miss it type of thing. Like
yeah.
it's subtle, but it's there. It's like, and the horror fans will pick up on it and notice it. Even the line where they got to go get Sean's mother, and her name's Barbara, and he's like, "We're coming
Yeah.
to get
Coming
you,
to get you,
Barbara."
Barbara. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably in my top three favorite like zombie movies. I love it, and I think I mentioned on the show not too long ago like how I got the 4K and I watched it again, and it still makes me chuckle. I just get a kick out of like the chemistry that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have is just
Yeah.
unmatched. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's probably like been quoted 80 million times at this point. Like almost every line in the thing is fucking quoted. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's just the writing and it's great too.
yeah, definitely.
So what was your number two, Mark? Because you said your number one was Sean.
That's
Bailey.
right. As no surprise, I mean, it's Kill Bill Volume 2. So I know that one isn't the crowd pleaser as much as the first one is, but I still quite enjoy the follow-up. If I have to pick anything apart about it, I will say I wish there was a little bit more done in the final fight sequences. Like her killing Bill was like the thing that we were building to, right? I mean, it's called Kill Bill.
Yeah.
And then she just does the thing at the table. And I like the dialogue exchange and I like the build up to it. But if there's one flaw for me personally that I wish played out a little bit more, like there was just a bit more, even if it was just a couple minutes, like that'd be it.
You're right though. Like it all, the whole thing led up to that scene, and the scene's very short. Like,
Yeah,
there should have been more of a fight, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's got a ton of really cool sequences in it. Especially my personal favorite in the movie is the trailer sequence with Michael Madsen when he gets bit by the snake and all that.
Yep.
And the Ellie Driver character is really, really cool.
It's a
I
shame
would have
that
loved to have seen more with her.
she was kind of a douche apparently, and like she hasn't really done anything since then.
Right.
You know, talking about Daryl Hannah.
Yeah,
like that was supposed to be her comeback, and she kind of ruined it for herself. From what
that seems to be the trend with a lot of these guys that work with Tarantino. I think I mentioned that with Travolta. Like he didn't really capitalize. Like he had his comeback with Pulp Fiction, and like that didn't really amount to too many, bigger roles than Pulp Fiction. That's still
the funny thing about Travolta though is that he made like an insane amount of money doing shitty films for at least like 5 years after that.
That's true.
He made like awful movies, but made like a fortune.
Except Face Off,
Yeah. That's right. But what the hell did Daryl Hannah do after that? Like I couldn't even tell you a single movie,
Same here. Same.
So I guess I'll do my two and number one. Number two, I don't know if Carta is in the chat. If this is not, or if so, this is for you. Uncle Bill, fuck you. Collateral.
Buddy, fuck you.
Number two, Michael Mann for the win. Collateral. God damn it.
I mean, if you had to pick one, I'm glad you picked that one, I guess. Yeah.
But Collateral, I saw in the theater, went in blind, knew nothing about the film. That was a time period where I lived near a theater and would sometimes just go to the theater and go, don't know what I'm watching today, but I'm going to watch a movie. So was blown away. I love the way Michael Mann made the city look. I love the simple premise. One day, one night with a cab driver, played by Jamie Foxx. And I thought Tom Cruise played a really good, stoic hitman, contract killer with a weird sense of, not morals, but rules that he lives by, but he's pretty hypocritical. By the end, you pretty much realize he's full of it. And I like seeing Jamie Foxx grow as a character. And the use of the soundtrack, again, the way he filmed the sequences in the city, and just the whole vibe where it felt like the night went on forever in a good way as these two went on this journey, and sort of their back and forth chemistry I thought worked very well. So Collateral, that was very well directed by Michael Mann, who I do think is a good director. I don't love all his films though. Black Cat sucked. Fucking Miami Vice movies sucked, among others. And the number one is Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
That is a really great comedy. I mean, it really is. Like, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't work, but for some reason, like just that concept is so crazy that, but it really does work, and it is a great film.
Yeah, the chemistry between Kal Penn and John Cho are very solid. And at that point, they had done bit parts, but people didn't really know who they were. So the fact this kind of what made them, they're not stars, but like made them more recognizable. And again, you bought their friendship, and it's a very silly, goofy movie. It's very cartoonish. I mean, they ride a what was it, a jaguar or something?
A cheetah, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cheetah. Yeah,
You know? But it's kind of like someone mentioned in the chat in the early two, Dude, Where's My Car? Like one of those movies that is silly and goofy and in a way stupid, but it has enough of a charm that it does work for itself. And again, I think it's because those two leads, and also the plot in a way it's relatable. Like you want to go out, that there's a place you want to eat, and as simple as it is, that journey in where they're enjoying their food, it's like I don't like White Castle. I think the shit's gross because I'm not a fan of onions, and they put in all their fucking burgers, and I'm like, I don't want onions in it. Fuck that. I'll just go to McDonald's and something. But you can appreciate what their journeys end because it is something you can relate to, as simple as it is. And
Mhm.
all the side characters, it was funny. We did a stream. We mentioned Jamie Kennedy. You know,
Yeah.
you to the forest. Is this your special bush? And also, it's one of those things that really enough for how so many films are political today. It was a bit ahead of the curve and what it was trying to say about stereotypes and stuff, but also not being preachy about it.
The second film,
yeah. There's a little bit more.
I love the second movie, honestly. But man, that movie is, you could not do that today. People would get so
No.
bent out of shape.
You ready
There's
for your cock
nothing
meat
but-
sandwich?
Exactly.
It's like, what?
All the race jokes are just, it's hilarious to me. I love it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I liked all three movies. I think they're fun. But the first one's always my favorite, so that's my number one.
Okay, so tell me this. Because for some reason I may be getting this one mixed up with another, but is Harold and Kumar the one too where they run into the guy? I think it is. Like, what do they call him? Like the real ugly guy that's the shit. Oh god. The only thing I remember is they end up in like a trailer and there's this like beautiful woman.
Oh, Freak Show.
Freak Show.
Yeah.
Is that the,
Yeah, that's
okay.
the first one.
Because I remember his that fucking song he's singing. He's like, Randy, what? The devil, huh?
Yep.
The devil is everywhere. He's fucking singing that song.
Yep, that's the
It's just
first
such
one.
a great
yeah.
character. Christopher Maloney, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. There's a
He
similar
does.
sequence like that in the second one where they run into the guy in the woods and he's like just killed the deer.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't the second one also have like Bush in it? Like a guy dressed up as George
Yes.
W. Bush?
At the end, yeah.
They're smoking weed with Bush.
Those movies are great though.
Yeah, I even like the third one for the Christmas one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
um,
they're fun. But the first one's the best, and yeah, like you said, should not have worked, but it did.
mhm.
So there it is. If what did we miss in your all's opinion in the chat? There's still a ton of people in here. So like, what are the films that we should have included that should have been in the top 2 or so? Because I'm sure there have to be some that we didn't even mention.
There's a lot from 2000. I don't know about top 2, but I just had other movies that I liked from 2004, and then of course the previous years the same thing. Always liked Kung Fu Hustle, but that was a really underrated one. It's
That
a
is
lot of
real.
fun.
Mark forgot a night in Paris. That fucking Paris. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a classic.
and One Night in China as well.
No. Sideways. Yeah, we didn't bring that up at all.
Mark, I'm surprised you didn't put Spider-Man 2 since Spider-Man was your favorite of the other year.
Yeah, I mean it's on here. We shortened it down to 3, and I don't even know if that would have made my top 5. I have kind of a thing with that movie. I don't know. And people keep mentioning the Bourne movies. I've seen that come up a couple times. Why don't you go ahead, Rambo? Tell them how much you love the Bourne Identity. And Born
Why
Supremacy.
Why you're the one who brought it up?
I know you're
Tell
a big
what you
fan.
feel about it.
I think they're the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
you go
Great
ahead.
shit. Jesus
Damon.
Christ. It's Jason Bourne.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. There will be blood. Now that is one that we probably should have mentioned in there. What year did that fucking come out? That didn't come out in that time period, did it?
No. That was like 07, I think.
All right.
2007.
Yeah.
We're just doing 2000 2004. So
Yeah, somebody mentioned Kingdom of Heaven, but that was 05. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. We're not doing 2005 to 2009, are we?
no, I'm not
Okay.
fucking no.
Okay.
Because it'd be me talking about Hostel and shit like that. Because that's when all that shit starts coming in. Really, I swear to God, like we couldn't have picked a better but worse time to start the show around 2005 because it was great because there was a ton of shit, but it's also awful because there's a ton of shit. You go back and try to watch stuff from that time period, and it's like, good Lord, man, like it's just not even worth it.
Gangs in New York is a good one.
Yeah. 51st Dates was in there. It was like 2002 or 3. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Man on Fire is another one.
2004.
Man on Fire. Yeah, we didn't bring that. I really do like that movie too.
Yeah,
Dakota Fanning is in that. Oh, well, all right.
By Bubba Hotep.
Love it. Always have. Bruce Campbell's Elvis, like Ollie Davis is fucking JFK. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Blue was good. It's another one I liked.
Jason X.
Jason X. Fuck Jason X.
No. I bought that movie like an idiot for that new Arrow release.
I don't mind Jason.
Oh, wow.
X.
You could give it to Rambo so you can rip up the slip.
That's true. You're right, Psycho. We did not bring up any Harry Potter movies or Lord of the Rings movies because those suck.
Especially Lord of the Rings. Rather watch Lord of the G-Strings.
About the spinoff.
Nah, it's Lord of the Sissies.
Lord of the Sissies.
That's the
What
spinoff.
the fuck?
Did anybody mention Gladiator? That was 2000. That's another
No.
one that was
I thought you
good.
don't mention. Did anyone mention Sissies?
God, no. I'd never say that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Oh my God. I'll be right back. I'm gonna piss all over myself. Let him go. I'll be
Well,
right back.
we're headed out anyway. So yeah, to everybody in here, thanks for joining the chat. Appreciate everybody and all the comments. And I'm gonna drag this out a really long time because Mark asked me.
I mean, I can use this
Always-
bottle like the Rock, I guess.
Always remember that everybody dies, but Friday night lives. See you guys.
I want all these people to click everything they're supposed to click.
You haven't been liking them, you haven't been subscribing to them, you haven't clicked the bell or notification or anything like that.
Folks, why don't you click the like button?
You hate us? Do you not want to see us succeed?
Why don't you click the heart button?
Is this something that you have against our particular show?
Why don't you subscribe?
You should click on one of them buttons right now if you want us to continue to breathe greatness into your life.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. You know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decade.
Wehere's what other fucking Patreons do. They're like, hey, give us money and then we'll let you see a video early that we're going to release like a fucking week from now, and then that's all we're going to give you. Meanwhile, we have a literal jukebox full of songs, thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram and help us to 1 million. The road to 1 million subscribers starts today.
So Dead Pit on Patreon.com. Join today. Tiers start at only $1, but I'd recommend at least the $10